Hey, it tells me we're live, which is great. You don't need to be a medium to see the show, and I love that joke. Yes, I will keep using it because I'm a medium. So, we don't have that many great jokes, I don't guess. Anyway, I am Dee Swiger. This is Dee Swiger's Deep Woo, and tonight we're going to talk about something that is a part of life, frankly, which is death. What happens when we die? And Paul Christian is back, and I know you know who that is, those who've been here for a while. You've seen Paul come in before, and I know you love Paul. So he's finally done moving, and he's back in. So this is great. We're going to be having him as soon as he gets in. I don't see him in yet. He might be having a few issues. Anyway, we also, oh, hello, Jake. You old so-and-so. So much, Jake. Yes, Jake, you're quite a character. Gee, I hope somebody got the notice that we are coming on at 8:08 instead of, well, it wouldn't let me put 8:08. It said 8:05, but we're doing multiple numbers, so I came in at 8:08. So it's really 8 when you see that. Okay, so we've got we're waiting on Paul to make it in, and and he's not in yet, so I'm going to check on that. Anyway, we've got our we've got our technical issues here on the Woo ship. I tell you, none of us are that technical, okay? So sorry about that. But basically, he's going to give a talk, and then we're going to have questions after. So get your questions ready, okay? And, okay, I think he finally made it. Did he? Tell us about my day. Getting ready for the show. Taking pictures of, I keep taking pictures of the sky because almost every time I do, I get weird results. There's something there. But I finally took a picture of the sky, and it was a clear blue sky. But the moon was coming up on the wrong side of the building. It threw me for a minute. It's like, wait a minute. Where'd the moon go? It usually comes up over there. Oh, it's coming up. Okay, it's coming up over here. I guess the moon does that, but just not used to it, Anyway, here comes Paul. Okay, yeah. So Paul has made it in now. And doggone, where are my mods? I hope the announcement went out. Must have gone out for you to show up, though, Jake. You got an announcement, didn't you? YouTube plays a lot of games with me, I tell you. Yep. If I was a Karen, I'd be screaming every 5 minutes, let me tell you. I may have to be a little bit more Karen-like. Well, I'm bringing Paul in anyway, so.
Hi, Ocean.
Hi. Okay, so you're in and you're not on yet, though. What the heck? Oh, there you are. Okay, we got you now. Having a few technical problems, and not very many people have made it in yet, so I'm wondering if they got the notice, because I put it out at least an hour ago. So, but Jake is here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to talk a little bit before you get into the meat of it so that we can give people a chance to see that we're on, because we are on at a kind of an unusual time. Sorry about that, folks, but Paul is not a night owl like we are. So I know some of y'all are night owls, but Paul is not. So if for some reason, though, you miss it, it is going to be recorded and you're going to have a chance to see it later, but we'll miss you. Okay, so what is this? Hit play as soon as you got the announcement. Oh, well, that's nice. Thank you so much. Jake is in the house, by the way. BLB, so much Jake, who, you come from Canada, don't you? You're in Canada, Jake? We got an international crew here on this ship, on the Woohoo ship. So, yeah, I hope people didn't forget and think it's going to be at 10 and see the announcement, or it's going to be a very short question and answer session. But it is how we make it. I've been telling everybody what time to expect it, though, so I don't know. Anyway, Paul, what I'm going to do is before you start I'm going to do the introduction. And like I said, we'll discuss a few little things. I have to send out some love to James Ortiz. He has been feeling badly again. We're making some headway with his illness. And he was doing so much better, but now he finds he's struggling again. So,
well, we certainly send healing and blessings to James. Okay, seem to have lost Ocean here. Okay. I'm not quite sure what to do here because I'm not hearing Ocean or seeing Ocean anymore. So I'm going to click out and click back.
okay, I'm back. My tablet is now unusable, I guess. It was on 100% charge and now it's on 0 again. I guess I just cannot possibly use my tablet anymore to do this. It's out. I'm on my phone now, so thank goodness I have backup. That's all I can say. Hope Paul is still around. Let's see, do we still have Paul? Yeah, looks like we still have Paul.
Hi, Ocean.
Hi, that was really annoying. That
Yeah,
was my tab. Just
I lost you. I clicked out and then clicked back in again. So
yeah, good. That's probably a good thing. That's probably just what you needed to do. So Jake's making jokes about he feels like Macaulay Culkin Home Alone.
yeah.
Sorry, he's on the stream watching nobody. Oh, you poor guy. I'm sorry, Jake. We're having drama. What fun. Hey, welcome to the Matrix. We're trying to find our way out of this inverted matrix. It's kind of screwed up. So let's see. Paul, let me run the intro. Hope that works. If that works, we're doing good. Okay. We'll see. If the intro works, then we're really okay. Holy smoke. There we go. Okay, and we're back, and nobody still has seen it or something. Okay, great. Well, it's going to be one of those nights, I guess. But maybe not. Who knows? Maybe people go, oh, that's right. It's supposed to be 2 hours earlier. Anyway, thank you so much, Jake, for showing up. Okay, well, basically, this is a talk that Paul is going to give about what happens when we die. It's more or less something, one of the oldest mysteries, right? So really, maybe ease your mind a little bit. Most of us are going to face this. Although for some reason, I don't feel like I die this time. Something else happens. But we'll see how that goes. So Paul, as you know, has been a metaphysician for years. If they gave out certificates, he'd have a PhD. He's a Reiki master, a Manahuna, sacred fire, earth energy, and a whole bunch of other things. Okay. Also, my good friend for years and a good homeopath. So if you have something you need help with, please get in touch, and we'll put you in touch with Paul because he can help you with his remedies. So here we go. Oh, here's Pam. I am. Thank you, Pam. Can you remind people in MeWe that we're on early today? If you don't mind, dear. James is in. Okay. James made it in. Okay, we took enough time up that James made it in. Hi, I hope you're feeling a little bit. Are you feeling any better, honey? James is the one we need. We need to put out some healing prayer for James. Okay. Yeah. Oh, his doppelganger is your neighbor, Jake? You mean Paul? You mean Paul looks like your neighbor? Huh. Oh, his name is Tom. Isn't that something? Ah, Paul, you've got a doppelganger in Canada.
Hey, hi, Tom.
Okay. Ah, yeah, that figures. Okay, so, but he's ours. He's ours. He belongs to Kent, not you guys. Okay. Oh, I guess now he's in Talmadge, so just over the line, aren't you now?
Yeah.
Just over the line in Talmadge.
Now I'm officially over the line, which, I kind of unofficially have been that for years. So,
yeah. Okay, so okay. It's gonna be a real interesting night, I can see, but it's a full moon, so hey, I guess we can figure it's gonna be like that. Oh, he's a horse farmer. So the other guy's a horse farmer.
oh, okay.
Okay, interesting. So you look like a horse farmer from Adirondacks. Okay, interesting. Uh, Paul. Okay, Paul. Please, enough of this. Enough of this silliness. Go slow because I have a feeling more people will be filing in, and then Pam's got to get back. But
Okay.
start telling us some stuff about. First, tell us a few things about yourself that you might want us to know about, and what you've been reading, what you've been up to for a little bit here.
Well, to tell you what I've been reading, that would take way too long because I'm the proud owner of almost 3,000 books.
Is that all for the
Many,
Library of Everything?
yeah, many of them are homeopathic books. And even though I've been a homeopath for 34 years, I'm still studying, still learning. But I have been studying spirituality and metaphysics for about 50 years, more or less. And so I always look for things that are outside of the box. When the mainstream is telling you this is the way it is, there's just usually something within me that goes, that doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel right, And so I look for other alternative answers. And that is in medicine and metaphysics, spirituality. So we have many esoteric spiritual texts here, fantasy fiction. My wife, Linda, loves mysteries. So we have, a lot of Agatha Christie and other mysteries here. So just one of the things.
And Linda can actually get orchids to grow for her.
Oh, yes. She basically works really hard. She puts 2 ice cubes in them once a week. And that's what she does. And they thrive.
That's all she does.
Yeah.
She doesn't even have to put them in any special place in the house with extra light or anything.
They're by a window. Now they did have a southern exposure. They now have a western exposure, and they seem to be very happy. They're all together. And speaking of orchids, we went to the Cleveland Botanical Gardens orchid show recently. And I had been told, Linda told me we had a lot of orchids that I couldn't bring any more home because we just didn't have room for them. But we went to the orchid show and she bought one. So I told her, if you can bring another one home, then I can bring another one home. So
that's right.
I went to Myers and got a beautiful, it's called Mystique, and it's got velvety purple on the front of the petals, and the back side of the petals is like an electric blue. It's absolutely magnificent. So anyway,
no, it's really a technicolor.
Having fun with lately.
Okay.
But I have I get into it in the talk, but it's actually my clients that have led me to this subject of what happens when we die.
Yeah.
You have people, in the middle of a Reiki session, and suddenly someone flips into a past life trauma. Well, I can't run out of the room with my hair on fire. You have to deal with it. So the first time that happened, it was like, oh, I prayed real hard, and then inspiration started coming, and it all unfolded. So that's kind of how I got started with this.
Oh, James Ortiz is back and wants to know if you have a site, and if you do have a site, and I know you do. It's called Rainbow.
Well, the email is rainbowgardens@neo.rr.com.
Okay, let me see if I can.
I do not have.
You want to get? Let me get it down, and I'll send that because I think he wants to get in touch with you. He hasn't been feeling well.
The interesting thing, I had a new homeopathic client yesterday, and their profession is designing websites and apps. So
really,
I'm kind of thinking I may have a future barter or someone to design a new website for me, perhaps. We'll see.
Oh gosh, I need to talk to him too. So maybe we needed to talk. Now let me double check this. Rainbow Gardens with an S?
Yes.
Rainbow Gardens at neo.rr.com, right?
Yes.
I'm putting this into chat so that you can get it. There you go. And you can get a hold of him that way. Well, he had a website. Anyway, so we are going to be doing I kind of like to see more people here to do it when we do the sending energy to James Ortiz. But Paul, he does need to be on your list. He has a lot of
I will put him on my
things going on with him.
Put him on my prayer list.
He's been fighting, though. We've been fighting it with him. He's been doing better for a while now, and now he seems to be having some issues again. So we just got to keep supporting him until he beats this.
Well, I wrote his name down. I'll add him to my prayer list.
Neo RR, not Neo really, Pam. I know. It probably was it would autocorrect, auto screw up. NeoRR.com. RR, like Mork used to laugh, or RR. You watched Mork.
Like Roadrunner.
You like Roadrunner, yeah. Like I've got it typed there, Pam. Yeah, I put it up there, Pam. Okay, so I'm going to put this up here so they know. that is it right there. And I'm going to leave it there. And actually, Paul, you can go into your little thing over there and you can put Paul at Neo Roadrunner, instead of just say a little thing that says Paul Christian, you can put in there some information, but we'll do that next time, I guess. I'll show you about that. So, yeah, you're welcome, James. Yes, please get in touch with Paul. I think he can help. He can help you. He's helped me through the years quite a bit. Oh, you were trying to set it as a link in blue. And of course, Auto Screw Up came in and decided that they were going to just change it because, okay, yeah, that's what always happens. With me too, it screws up a lot of my jokes that way. So it's just part of working with the tech here in this plane of existence right now. Some people are techno mages, and I don't think I am one. So
I know I'm not one.
mm-hmm.
I'm
I've
more,
known some.
yeah, I'm more the opposite.
Yeah, you're somebody that would try and not have fixed computers.
Yeah, I'm more a Luddite type. I may tell other people I do other things. If you have a loved one who's passed over and you're not sure whether they've gotten to the light, I'm the person to call because I can make sure that they get into the light.
Right.
That's some of the work that I've been led to by Spirit.
Right.
Is to help people cross over. Yes, and I know Ocean has done a lot of that. So
a lot of that on this show, on this very show. Yes. I've done a lot of that.
And that was, when I started out, doing, Reiki, that was not even in my consciousness. So
I know. So it wasn't always in mine.
I was led there, Mm-hmm. Okay.
And suddenly you realize at some point, oh my gosh, I must be a medium. I'm viewing this. I'm actually I'm remote. That basically, it's interesting. It's more like you discover you can do this.
Yeah, here I'm a medium, and I thought I was a small.
Yeah, I thought it was an extra large. So there you go. Okay, so Pam is asking, did my husband go into the light? And I've talked to him, but she wants to see what you say. Pam's husband passed away recently.
I'm getting a yes from Spirit.
Mm-hmm. I've talked to him, and he seems to be doing fine and watching over you, Pam. I hope you remember that he is always watching over you. He loved you in life. He loves you now. He's going to be there waiting for you. So when it's your turn, he's going to be there. He said so. And you know what? I would have to say that it's like, interestingly enough, I've mentioned him before. Tom McDonald, that is basically what his song is about, and I wrote one about that too. But his song Ghost is about that. Until I'm a ghost, I'll be with you, and then when I'm a ghost, I'll still be your boo. Yeah, I'll still be your woo. Just because they have passed on doesn't mean they've forgotten you. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, sweetheart. I know you're lonely for him, but he's right there, really. He's right there for you. at least you have family and stuff that you can be around. You know, we have to be grateful for that. So, Paul, go ahead. Go on.
Okay. So just as a little intro, what I'm going to present, I wrote as a sermon that I have delivered at 2 Unity churches, and Unity is pretty metaphysically oriented church. So they're pretty open to alternative things, and the 2 co-founders actually were very much involved in spiritual healing and presenting the idea that there's only one force in the universe, and that is good. All good, you know, unconditionally loving. So that is the people I was speaking to. But I'm kind of each time I speak, I go just a little bit farther out and present more, and they keep inviting me back. So
Oh, they must like it. It must be a pretty good talk, which is why I invited you on.
I got some very, very good feedback from people. And I think the only people that didn't like it were like more conservative types. But, you know, like you just can't please everybody. So basically, at the end of the day, you have to do what Spirit calls you to do and just let it go. So what I'm going to do is just present this. It's about 23 minutes long, which is about the perfect timing for a sermon. And then we're going to open it up to questions, discussion, comments, and you know, we can dig into this subject and have some fun.
James, don't worry. Get in touch with me. You got in touch with me, right? Emailed me. I have your email, I think, somewhere. I will make sure that you get the info, okay? I'll make sure you get it. And we can put it on MeWe. Paul, you really need to just, you know, go ahead and download MeWe and get on our MeWe site so that people can get in touch with you there if you have to. I just am suggesting.
Okay.
But,
yeah, that's part of the old Luddite here. So it was
okay.
You know,
it's just a site. It's just not as crappy as Facebook. You know, it's not as, how can I put it? It's not going to data mine you and stuff. It's just a little more honest than Facebook. See?
Okay.
So it's social app, but it's more honest than Facebook. And you know, you don't have to be a part of any other group, but you might find a group you like there to be part in their chat. But you don't have to. You can just join our chat, and I'll have to explain that to you someday. Anyway, yeah, if any of you want to, we're on MeWe, MEWE.com. We have our own group. It's called the Galactic Woo Crew, and we'd be glad to have you there. Now, we don't really chat a whole lot there, but we do. It's a place to hang our hat. It's a place to leave our messages for each other and so on. So you might want to look into that and join MeWe so that we can get in touch with each other. That's another way, just another way to get in touch with each other. I think you can get there without the app, though. I don't think you have to have the app in order to get on MeWe. Just makes it a little easier. Okay, Paul. James Ortiz, don't worry about it. I'll make sure you get there. You get connected. And I can give him your number, right, Paul?
Yes.
He's a good guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I'd be glad to talk to James.
Yes. James, I'll make sure you have his number. Okay. Okay, Paul.
All right. Here we go. What happens when we die? Well, first of all, this is a trick question. Since our soul is eternal, we don't actually die. Perhaps a more accurate title would be What Happens When We Transition from This World into the Next, but that's a little long and not quite as catchy. Most people will tell you that nobody knows what happens when we die, and this is simply not true. We have tens of thousands of near-death experiences documented. P.M.H. Atwater has written extensively about this. And two of these experiencers, perhaps more, were neurosurgeons who wrote books. And numerous mystics have had visions or have been taken by angels into the higher realms so that they could then report to the world what was there. Echo Bodine is a current author who writes clearly about her experiences in the higher realms. Emanuel Swedenborg, 250 years ago, had amazing visions of heaven. Michael Newton and Rob Schwartz write about our between life experiences. The ancients wrote the Egyptian and Tibetan books of the dead as how-to manuals for the person passing on and for those assisting them. Most near-death experiencers share common themes. So let's talk about those. Most report going through a tunnel of some sort and seeing light at the end of the tunnel. Now, this is very important. If you don't remember anything else about this talk, remember, go to the light. Go to the light. I'll be talking more on going to the light later. Most were greeted by loved ones, such as parents or a spiritual teacher, such as Jesus or angels, and possibly even a beloved pet. And they were escorted into the light. Once in the light, they experienced being aware at an expanded level and of feeling embraced by an all-encompassing love and of seeing tremendous beauty all around them. Also, many hear exquisitely beautiful music. At this point, some were told they needed to go back, and most, because it was a realm of such beauty and love, did not want to return. One friend of mine was told by Jesus that they needed to return because they had important work to do. Most who experience that beauty and all-encompassing love lose their fear of death. Now, for those who do not return, they experience a life review. Some who have gone through a fearful experience have said, "My whole life flashed in front of me." But this particular life review is special because we don't just see it, we experience it. When we're reliving experiences with others, we will feel how they felt when we did or said whatever it was we did or said. In other words, we actually experience and feel the effect we had on others. We get to experience how our kind words or deeds warmed the person's heart and made them feel accepted and loved. Also, we will experience the other person's fear, disappointment, and even devastation when our words or actions were unkind. After the life review, we have a meeting with our spiritual guides, sometimes referred to as the elders, and together we come up with a plan. If we've passed on due to an illness or accident, we will probably spend time in a spirit hospital where we can rest and recover. We'll be given nourishing food, treated kindly, and when appropriate, be given healing treatments by a healer. Sometimes, as I sleep at night, my spirit will go to a spirit hospital and do healing work there. You see, our soul is connected to our physical body by a silver cord. It's an energetic umbilicus, similar to the umbilical cord that attaches a mother to her child in the womb. This silver cord is even mentioned in the Bible in Ecclesiastes 12. It can be attached at different places, but often the head area. It's about an inch in diameter, sparkles with light, and is elastic, like a rubber band. We often go out of our bodies as we sleep at night. Some to attend a school, visit loved ones, go on a divine mission, or just explore the neighborhood. Flying or floating dreams are an indication that we've been out. As long as the silver cord remains intact, we will return safely. Sometimes if we re-enter the body too quickly, we'll wake with a start. After the hospital stay, there are parks of great beauty to walk in. The animals in the parks do not fear us, and we can interact with them. We may attend a school to prepare for where we will go next, or spend time in a library studying. Our learning and growing continues in the next realm. A good friend of mine lost her son to cancer and was in a deep state of grieving. Her son came to her and told her not to grieve, that he left the earth plane specifically so he could attend a school on the other side, and he was happy and learning wonderful things. Be happy for me, Mom. After that, she still missed him, but was able to let go of the deep state of grief. So, how did I come to study and learn about this? Well, my clients have led me places I never even knew were possible. Linda and I took our first Reiki class in 1992, and I really enjoyed that people would be more relaxed, in less pain, and generally feeling better after a treatment. It was a way I could actually experience the Holy Spirit flowing through me. It's one thing to read about the Holy Spirit, but to feel it flowing through you is a whole different level. It was really quite wonderful. Warm hands, warm heart, beautiful tinkly music, and grateful people who felt better. That was the honeymoon period. Then one day, a fellow healer and talented shamanic practitioner was on the table and suddenly was dramatically experiencing a past life trauma. She was shaking and afraid. Well, what was I supposed to do? I couldn't run out of the room with my hair on fire, so I prayed. As she narrated her experience to me, what I needed to do and say just came to me. I kept my hands on so the healing energy would continue to flow, and I would drop suggestions into her narration. It turned out that that aspect of her soul, because of the terrible trauma, never made it into the light. After doing healing work on this past self, we called on Archangel Michael, and he escorted that past self soul part into the light and to a spirit hospital for rest and recovery. It would be easy to think that this was just a shared delusion, except for the fact that after that, something in her life that was troubling was completely resolved. Another time, the same client who had a lifelong issue of not being able to sing. I mean, she would open her mouth and try, and no sound would come out. After a similar past life soul release into the light, she could then sing for the first time in her life. Then a client came who said, I think I have an attachment. Well, inside I was, oh boy. But I calmly asked them to explain. She had been to the hospital to visit a friend 3 weeks before, and ever since she was experiencing great fatigue. She was usually a high energy person. Remember the 1999 movie, The Sixth Sense, with Bruce Willis and Haley Joel Osment? Remember the boy's famous lines, I see dead people. They're everywhere. They walk around just like everyone else. They don't even know they're dead. That, my friends, is the absolute truth. So at that point, I didn't have just one client. I had two. I called on the angels and other beings of light to help us. I asked the angels to explain to that lost soul that they had died and needed to go into the light. The lady didn't know that she had died, and she felt really bad that no one would talk to her. She saw someone that was happy and with light around them, so she followed them home. This was not a dramatic exorcist moment, but a calm conversation with a soul that was just lost for a time. She went with the angels to the light, and my client and I felt a whoosh of energy, and tears came to our eyes because the feeling and the presence of the angels was so beautiful. My client very quickly recovered her energy. It's very important to help the lost souls get to the light. If we just remove them from the client's energy field, they will attach to someone else. Now let's get back to go to the light. Again, this is very important. Our soul, when in a physical body, receives energy from the physical body. Our physical body is like a battery pack for the soul. When we go into the light, we receive a spirit body that acts as a battery pack for the next realm. If we pass out of the body and hang around, even with very good intentions, we have no way to get energy except to attach to someone in a body. Let's say grandma wants to look out for her grandchildren and whispers good advice in their ears and prays for them and truly loves them. So she stays around them instead of going into the light. At some point, that will start draining the energy of the grandchildren. That's why it's so important to go into the light. Get your spirit body battery pack, and then at the proper time, grandma can come back and visit the grandchildren with no harm to them. When a loved one passes on, it helps them when we pray them into the next world. Our Catholic brothers and sisters have a wonderful tradition called a novena. Every day for 9 days, we pray and keep a candle burning for the one who has passed with the intention of helping them to heaven. A wonderful side effect is that it helps us let go of them as well. Our hanging on to one who has passed sometimes makes it more difficult for them to let go and to go into the light. It's a common experience of loved ones who hold a vigil for the one who is close to transition. They'll be by the bedside for hours and hours. And when they took a short break to use the restroom or get something to eat, that's when their loved one passed on. They feel guilty and think they should have been there. It's actually easier for the loved one to leave when no one is around holding on to them. But be assured, no one ever dies alone. No one ever dies alone. Angels, loved ones, and elders from the other side are with them. Also, the angels come to support those loved ones who are still here in this world and grieving their loss. Now, if we're in our kitchen and we're happy and we walk into the living room, does our mood change? If we're sad or angry in our kitchen and we walk into the living room, again, does our mood change? No. We just carried our state of consciousness into a larger room. Our house, our car, our money all stay in this world, but our consciousness moves with us into the next realm. There is no loss of consciousness at the time of transition. If we pass over with a lot of anger, guilt, bitterness, and fear of punishment, we might go to a lower vibrational realm. And I want to emphasize that no realm of hell or purgatory has been created by our unconditionally loving God. If we carry lower vibrational thoughts and feelings over to the next realm, we cocoon ourselves in them and create our own unpleasant experience. Others of a similar vibratory level will be in the same area. Light workers from the cities of light will come to rescue us. But if we're afraid of punishment or feel we don't deserve God's grace, we will often refuse their help. Prayer for those that have passed can often help break through this cocoon of self-created misery, enough that at the next opportunity, they will go with the light workers into the light. So again, we have borrowed a concept from our Catholic brothers and sisters of purgatory. But now remember, this realm's not created by God, but by us. In this in-between realm, it is energetically connected to those of us on the earth plane. So our loving prayers, meditations, and actions help those stuck in between. And when we can raise a soul stuck in that realm into the light, it lightens and raises the vibration of that realm and consequently the earth plane. The Holy Spirit, by conspiring with my clients, has led me to what is a large part of my soul mission, helping lost souls into the light. I did not seek this work. This work sought me. Now let me emphasize, as I did with the healing work, I'm not the one actually doing the work. I'm the one that calls on the angels and the other beings of light. And that gives them permission to work their miracles. I offer my body and being as a conduit for divine light to flow through, and guided by the beings of light, the work gets done. There is a series of books starting with Naso Lar by Francisco Javier. His name looks like Xavier, but since he is from Brazil, it is pronounced Javier. Francisco channeled over 400 books and was very beloved by the Brazilian people. Nosso lar means our home. The books follow the journey of a doctor who crosses over with a lot of guilt, and he becomes stuck in purgatory. Because of the intercessory prayers of his mother and one patient, enough of a crack in his cocoon of guilt was created, and he then allowed the rescue workers from Nosso lar, a city of light, to take him to their spirit hospital. After rest and healing, he started to visit other patients, talk to them, listen, comfort them. People looked forward to his visits and appreciated his caring. He started to feel better about himself and asked if he could be given a small job in the hospital. He became a worker in the hospital and eventually a rescue worker, and found great satisfaction in helping people. The books follow his journey of learning and growing on the other side. You can order the books on Amazon, but check to make sure you're buying the English translation, because the original is in Portuguese. And no one warned me. But what I thought was a mistake turned out to be a blessing. The book in Portuguese listed the 16 books in the series. The English translation did not. If I hadn't ordered the Portuguese copy, I never would have known there was 15 more books. There's also a movie called Astral City that tells this story. It's in Portuguese with English subtitles. I was moved by this movie. For me, it was a three-hanky movie, but the tears were tears of joy. When my older brother Bob, still a relatively young man, was almost ready to make his transition because of cancer, his wife called and said, "He's too weak to talk, but he can hear you. If you have any last words to say to him, now is the time." She put the phone to his ear, and this is what I said to him. "Bob, when you cross over, you will see a tunnel with light at the end of it. Go to the light. Mom will be there to help you. Go with her into the light. She will take you to a wonderful hospital where you can rest and recover. When you are ready, there will be a life review. Since you are a kind and decent person, most of your review will be wonderful. You will experience how loved you made the children feel at the orphanage in Vietnam when you were in the Marines there. Some of the review will be difficult and painful, but really pay attention, because that's where you need to heal and grow. You go with my blessings. You are a great big brother, and I love you." When his wife came back on the phone, she said, "I don't know what you said to him, but he's crying and smiling at the same time." Every day of our lives, we have the opportunity to prepare for that day of transition by letting go of our heavy thoughts and emotions and cultivating a spirit of gratitude, letting go of fear and choosing faith, practicing kindness, creating heaven right here on earth, and then our transition will be a joyous adventure. So remember, go to the light. Go to the light. I now call down that light of heaven, and ask for a blessing for each and every one of us. And so it is.
So
Amen,
it is.
amen, amen.
Mm.
Okay.
So James Ortiz is saying, I feel better up a notch. My sister came to pray with me. She has good things to share. They added more staff on the floor, and so he's feeling a little better now.
Excellent.
It's wonderful. Now, I do want to address this because we do want to do some healing send some healing to James. It sounds like things are perking up there a little bit, looking up there. But I do want to get this out of the way because this has come up. There is this school of thought that talks about the light and a soul trap and being sent back into reincarnation, and that there is some trickery attached to this, and that one should not go into the light. That is a trap. And then there are people who say that you have to be careful of the false light trap. And the false light being different from the real light is the real light is a clear light. The false light is an obscuring light. So there are a lot of different schools of thought about going to the light, because of course everybody's heard about go to the light. I mean, anybody who studied this hears go to the light. So I looked into this myself. As you know, I died. I did have a death experience. I call it near death, but hey, I was pretty darn close there. I was in the other world. So I didn't see that stuff there. Okay. However, I'm willing to feature that maybe something like that could exist. Who would go there? I'm not sure what kind of a vibration you'd be in. Perhaps if you're in a specific vibration, this might be something that happens. I don't know. But I just want to, for the record, say I didn't see that. Okay. I myself did not see that. But then again, I had a very different experience than what a lot of people do when they go to the other plane. Mine was, I have to do everything differently, you know.
Yes, you
I
do.
can't do anything like everybody else has to do it. I have to do it my own way. I did it my way, you know. Frank Sinatra was a Sagittarius like me, right? So I did it my way. But yeah, I didn't see that. Although I'm not saying that in a certain vibration that couldn't exist, because there are people who have seen this in remote viewing, in their remote viewing, and I'd kind of like to hear what Paul has to say about that. What do you think about that?
Well, basically, as far as the tunnel and the light, we have, again, tens of thousands of reports, but not all. I mean, some are different. One of the neurosurgeons had a completely different experience. But the interesting part, like, he was pretty somewhere between agnostic and atheist, and he believed our consciousness arose from our brain. But when he had his near-death experience, the Thank you, Pam. When he had his near-death experience, he was in this gray realm with just like dirt and roots, and it was pretty awful, but there was no loss of consciousness. And he was in this kind of like awful thing for quite some time. But anyway, eventually he recovered and he woke up. And but now this is a neurosurgeon. So he looked at the all the readings that had been taken. He looked at what medications he was being given. He looked at all of the brain scans. And he knew that his brain was gone. His brain, there was nothing functioning in his brain. And yet, he also knew he never lost consciousness. So he knew that his belief that the consciousness arises from the brain was false. He manned up and said, okay, I was wrong. That there's mind and the brain is a tool that mind uses. So this was a real wake-up experience for him. So his experience, like yours, was very, very different, Ocean. But now, what I have to say, when you're making your transition and one of your parents shows up, or Master Jesus, Buddha, Kuan Yin, Yogananda, Archangel Michael, wherever they take you, it's going to be good. Okay? Mm-hmm. They would not take you to any false realm. So I have never heard about these reports. So I really, other than that, I can't comment. But I know that what I've reported are very, very common experiences from people who have had near-death experiences and come back and reported. And also those like Eka Bodine or Swedenborg who have actually had visions or actually been taken by the angels into the higher realms to see what's going on. So I'm thinking there's a possibility that there are those who want to sabotage our ascension, who want to sabotage our moving into the higher realms. So they may be seeding some discordant thoughts just to confuse us. So we'll be afraid of doing what we're supposed to do. So that's a thought I have.
Yeah. I thought of that too. I thought, what if? Because they're saying you're all being fooled. The light is a trap, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what if you're being fooled?
Now that sounds more like a purposeful misinformation campaign in order to sabotage our well-being. And as most of you know, there are those on this planet who consider us a liability. Okay, and they are not out. They are not out for our highest good. So, but I used to be what I would call Mr. Conspiracy Theory, and I would get very angry about all the injustice and the greed and everything going on. And one day I suddenly realized, what am I putting out into the collective consciousness? I'm putting out anger. Oh my God, I'm part of the problem. Mm-hmm. And so I have to educate myself on what's going on so that I can make informed decisions for myself, my family, and my clients who come to me for advice. But I have to be very objective and really keep myself reined in to just get the information and then make sure I spend my time in prayer and healing, and that what I send out to the world is love and compassion and healing and blessing. So that's my answer to how to walk. And sometimes it's a fine line, and sometimes I cross it and go, whoops, cancel. I'm back in healing mode. And just, so that's how I handle this thing. So, but I think one thing, I have times, and probably some of you, if not all of you, and I know Ocean does, sometimes you just have a moment where you know something that a moment before you didn't know.
Yep.
And when I get these knowings, I mean, there's a certainty. There's a feeling, it's not, I think, it's an I know.
Yep.
Yeah. And so some of what I've written is based on well, for me, it's the Holy Spirit. They're the ones that are in charge. And I actually had a thought. I was actually in church listening to someone else's sermon today, and it was not part of their sermon, but something they said triggered an inspiration in me, because they were talking about the Holy Spirit. So imagine there's this very large lake, completely still. So this is an analogy here. So that still lake is God. It's a still lake at high altitude. That's God. And then you see a waterfall at the end of the lake. That's the Holy Spirit. It's God in motion. So those are my thoughts about, it's all one. We're all one, but yet there's different aspects of our oneness that makes our life rich here in this 3D realm that we're having our little schoolhouse.
Our experience.
Yeah.
Right. Our experiences.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if there's any, from those of you who are listening, any questions or comments, or even like different ideas about what I presented. So I'm open for questions or comments.
Pam said, yes, she has the knowings too. She gets the knowings too.
Okay.
So I know that my version is, if you're an infinite being that lives forever and has no beginning and no end, how do you know? And you're all one. How do you know what you are, who you are, what you can do? Wouldn't you be curious? And through that curiosity, just much as you cannot see your own face without a mirror, would you not want many viewpoints with which to experience what you are? To see yourself. And in my view, everything that is a mirror of God. Is basically a viewpoint, a camera for God, is a way of God experiencing God. God experiences what God is, who God is, and what God can do through our lives, basically, through all that is. And so now in this day and age, I guess you could call us maybe we are cameras, but we are all God. Okay, I'm God, and I have, my life gets better as I affirm, I am God. Be still and know that I am God. And the instructions are, be still, okay, and know that I am God. Okay, I am God. Guess what? If you can do the same thing, you must be God too. There you go. A very misunderstood translation of the Bible. I am God, you are God, we are God. We're all God,
Well,
experiencing God.
Jesus agreed with you, Ocean. Okay, you won't hear this in a lot of churches, but in near the beginning of John is where he made the statement, "The Father and I are one."
Exactly.
Well, of course, the Pharisees had a cow and were about to, I guess, stone him to death or something for blasphemy.
Mm-hmm.
And what he said to them, "Is it not written in your law, I said, ye are gods?" Now,
Mm-hmm.
that man knew his older scriptures. He knew the Torah. He knew the older scriptures. Okay. And what he was
He was a learned person. He wasn't just a poor, they
oh,
try to make you think he was a poor carpenter. No, he was
no,
a very learned person.
he was. He was blowing the rabbis' minds when he was 12. Okay. Yes.
Right.
But he was referring to one of the Psalms, and I don't quote me on, I think it's Psalm 86, where it actually says, "Ye are gods." Okay, so
Exactly. Know
ye,
ye not that ye are gods and sons of gods,
yeah,
is what
so
he said.
basically, the Old Testament and Jesus quoting that is saying exactly what you're saying, Ocean.
Basically.
Yeah. So basically,
Don't you know who you are?
and I'm going to take what you said even a step farther, that yes, we are the eyes, ears, and hands of God. God experiences his, her self through us, through our experiences, but also we are the by means of expanding the borders of heaven into the earth plane. We are the ones who are here. I mean, we're the special forces troops. you know, we're
We're
the elite,
almost the Space Marines in some
yeah,
regards.
we're the elite guard, forward guard.
Or the Peace Corps, right?
And we are literally
The Peace Corps.
expanding the kingdom of heaven into the earth plane by our healing work, by our prayers, by our meditations, by our acts of kindness. Standing in line at the grocery store and saying a kind word to someone, we have no idea how much that could make their day. I always make sure, usually when you go through the line, the checkout people are trained to say hi to you, how you doing, that kind of thing. I always make sure that I say, "I'm fine. How are you?" And sometimes they kind of look surprised because most people just sort of. So I always make
Well,
sure.
you know me because you take me
Oh,
shopping,
yes,
so
yes,
you know what I do. I'm always like, "Hey, how you doing?"
yes, yes, yes. You're always there, uplifting, bright,
Yeah,
bright, and cheery. Yes,
because I figure they need it. You
absolutely.
know, I figure they really need it. If you
You
deal with
know,
the public all the time,
there was
you
a
really need someone to cheer you up
this
because a lot of them are very grumpy, right?
is a true experience, and I don't have any names, but there was a young man carrying his books through the hallway in a school, and like his notebook slipped out of his hand and fell to the floor, and one of his fellow students just picked it up and handed it to him. "Well, here you go." And that was basically the exchange. And a few days later, the young man who was walking out came up to him and said, "I just wanted to really thank you." And he goes, "Like, for what?" Says, all I did was pick up your notebook. He said, I was on my way home to kill myself.
Mm-hmm.
And just that little act of kindness made me change my mind.
Because I remember being in school with some bullies that would have kicked it down the hallway.
Right.
So that was basically showing him that there are still some good people in this world.
Mm-hmm. So a smile, a word, an act of kindness, holding a door for someone, whatever it is,
Complimenting the way they look that day, right, or just making a joke or anything to show them that you mean well, a smile, anything that you can do to raise the vibration.
Mm-hmm. But as we raise the vibration of the earth plane, it's like that we get closer and closer to that light.
Mm-hmm.
So our transitions are going to become more and more interesting. I think the tunnel's going to get shorter.
As a matter of fact, for Maui, when I saw Maui cross, she just went through a portal. She didn't have to go through a tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
She just hopped right into her new home, which was her old home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So she just went right out through a portal, because she got up out of her body and walked through a portal and hopped right onto this beautiful plant. It looked like a grassy area with trees around it, very beautiful. And then she showed up in another form. She became an all white cat, and she opened what looked like a window, of all things, and said, "I'm fine now, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to worry about me. I'm fine now, Mom." Like that. And I said, "Maui, is that you?" And she says, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make sure everybody thought you really needed some reassurance that we're okay, because we know that you worry so much that maybe you couldn't have done any more for us. You did everything you could, and we're okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're fine now, so don't worry about it.
Well, the famous medium, was it James von
Pra?
Yeah. The single message that he gets more often than any other message is, I'm okay. The one on the other side wants to let their loved ones know, I'm okay. So that's the number one message that comes across from the other side. So Maui's right on board with,
Yeah, it was very interesting. She had a friend with her too that looked like a cheetah and had spots, and he was a male cat, and so she had a friend with her that might have been Kangi in his form there. And so they were there, and I mean, I saw this and I'm like, oh my gosh, what, I had never seen that. I've heard of it, a window to heaven, but I had never actually seen it. And there it was. She was talking to me through a window, a thing that looked like a window. So very bizarre. And she was there that way for a while. So they granted me some time to be able to see and talk to the other side there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard of that happening. So as a matter of fact, as you know, Paul, when before I moved here, I had visions that I was going to die, that I was going to be getting carried out on a stretcher from there, and that was it. I was dead. And I had that more than once. I had that several times. That was also after Maui died. And that was also when I first started seeing David, when David came and said, "Guess who?" like that. And I said, "David Bowie." And he said, "Good guess. I found you," like that. And I'm there going, "You were looking for me?" He goes, "Of course I was looking for you." Yeah, I think that the reason I saw him so clearly and he was there so much, helping me remember everything about our communications together, and our time together that we spent online, was almost entirely online, was because I was fixing to die. There was a point there when I could choose to stay or go. And I think we do have that choice. I think we get a choice, but I think there comes a point when it's like, now we must go. I don't know. I'd like to hear what you think of that, Paul. Because as you know, I chose to live. I don't see him as clearly anymore, although I hear him and I still see him from time to time. I don't see him as clearly anymore since I chose to live and stay here, and come here to live. And so I don't know. I want to hear what you think about that. But he's around. I know he's around.
Well,
So
what I believe is that we all have pre-programmed, exit dates. And I do use the word dates instead of date.
mm-hmm.
So depending on, have we learned our lessons? Is there work we need to complete? Whatever. That we have times that sometimes it's a choice. You can go now, or you can stay, and somebody on the other side will have a conversation with you. Now you may or may not remember it, but sometimes there are possible exit dates, and it depends on what's going on, and we still have that right of free will. So sometimes people will say, well, I've got this work that I'm going to do, or I've got a book I need to finish, or a song I need to write, or I just started this relationship and I want to see where it goes. This love of my life, and so I'm not ready to go yet. And so our guides will say, well, okay, blessings, and then we'll see you in 10 years
or whatever,
or whatever. I mean, but it's not. So there are certain exit times, like that good friend of mine, that her son, he died of cancer, and it was particularly devastating because she was a Reiki master and she couldn't heal him. So when he came to her and said, "Mom, that was just my by means of getting out of the body, because I had an appointment to go to school here on the other side." So for him, that exit date was pretty firm.
Mm-hmm.
He had something he was going to, something that called his soul.
Something he had to do. Yeah.
Yes, it was a calling of the soul to learn and grow on the other side. And one thing I want to emphasize about learning and growing on the other side: make no mistake, Archangel Michael, Master Jesus, Master Mother Mary are still learning and growing on the other side, because our Creator is infinite. And since we are a hologram of that infinity, our learning and growing is infinite.
Yes.
I can't think of anything more boring than sitting on a cloud and playing a harp forever.
Right.
I mean, half hour maybe, yeah. Okay, now what? You know,
That might be nice, but yeah.
that'd be nice. But now what?
That might be a nice program, but now where's the
Oh,
action?
yeah. Now what?
Yeah, you can't I can't imagine that either. I mean, it sounds absolutely horrible, doesn't it? Does
Yeah.
that
Now,
really
you
sound
know,
like heaven?
what mountain can I climb? You know, what person can I help? You
Mhm.
know,
What
what?
challenge can I have? And especially for those who have been service oriented all our lives.
Yeah. Let's go
What
to.
is there to do around here?
Right. Right. Well, in that
Turns out there's a lot. There's a lot they do over there. But
that
anyway, go ahead.
that service orientation, that's
Hmm.
where we get the concept of the bodhisattva.
Yes.
That they actually are so advanced, and I'm talking like Buddha, Jesus, Mother Mary,
Hmm.
that they could have gone to a higher realm, but they chose purposefully to stay here close enough to the earth plane to help
To
us,
take a help.
to help
Hmm.
us. And one thing that really, really moved me is I work closely with Archangel Michael. He's kind of like my go-to guy. And he's been with us for 4.5 million years. Our souls have been here a long, long time, or even in other planets, whatever. We've been around a long, long time, and but we haven't always been in this particular human form body. We've had
Right.
other forms as part of our spiritual evolution. But
Mm.
Archangel Michael came with us, descended with us, and vowed to stay with us until all of us ascended. Now that's commitment. Four and a
Yes.
half million years, and the guy's still with us. Now, is that love
Mhm.
or what?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I try to say people will try to say things about angels and archangels and how archangels, oh, archangels, oh, arches, and we've been taught that arches are, arch is a bad thing and whatever. Our language has been babbled. I will say it again. Our language has been babbled. You have to, I have had them tell me so many times, my guides, you must learn to tell a being by its energy, by the energy, not by what it says, what it looks like, any of that,
Hmm.
by the energy of it through its energy signature. You must know that way. It is the only way to be sure what you're dealing with. So if your gut is looking at something that looks like an angel of light, but your gut is going, ugh, no, that is not an angel of light. But if you're looking at something that looks like maybe an elderly old person but you're, oh my gosh, I just see the light all around them. That may be the embodiment of an angel trying to help somebody in looking like a human at the time. You don't know. You don't know you can entertain angels unawares. And angels are not what we think they are.
When
Angels are not what we think.
I shared something with you that just came to mind. Something I read recently is imagine a flame. It could be a gold or white flame, or it could be a violet flame. Anyway, just go into your heart center and imagine a flame there, that divine flame. So if there's a decision you need to make, and I don't care whether it's buying a jar of peanut butter or, whether you're supposed to take a class or write a book or maybe some really important life decision, take that decision into your heart, into that flame. Does the flame get brighter or does it get dimmer? If it gets brighter, that's probably something that you need to do. If it gets dimmer, then that may not be something that would be uplifting for you to do.
I test food in the store that way. You've
Yeah.
seen me do it.
Yes.
Actually, I test it to see if it hurts. I hold it about
Yeah.
here and say,
Yeah.
is this going to hurt me? And if it's going to hurt me, I feel a hurt
Right.
in my heart. And I'm like, oh, no, no,
Right.
no.
Right.
I put it
So
right back down.
that divine light that we sometimes search for outside of ourselves is within us, each and every
Of
one of
course.
us. So that is where I mean, okay, we're having this show and we're sharing. So that's a good thing. This is fun, okay? But the real truth is within each and every one of us.
Right.
That's got to be your divine yardstick. You know, when I pass this through my heart, how does that feel?
Mm-hmm.
Does it make me expand or does it make me contract? Does it lift me up?
Speaking,
Does it put me down, you know?
speaking of that, we do have the chat saying some things
Okay.
here. And so let me read this to you. I went to, first I got to say this because I did mention David. And Pam says, tell him how David visited me after he interrupted our convo the night before. Yeah. Yeah. I basically remember that. I don't remember the details, but I remember him doing that. And he does that. Sometimes I'll be in a convo with somebody on the phone or something, and he'll just like when he hid my wallet. If you don't think that the other side is lively, I hate to tell you. Well, no, I love to tell you. I love to tell you it's lively over there, okay? As a matter of fact, I did have Alfred Hitchcock one time visit me, which was a big shock, okay? To me, it's like, what the heck? Well, maybe not a shock, but quite a surprise. Quite surprised. All of a sudden, a doorway opened up. Alfred Hitchcock walked through, and he was dressed, but he wasn't dressed in a suit. He was dressed in just regular pants. It looked like something you might do gardening in. And I said, Alfred Hitchcock? And he's like, yes. And the other thing that was odd is he was smiling, which you didn't see him smiling very much. And I said, do what? Do I owe the honor? And he said, oh, well, we're having he said, as it turns out, the dead are actually quite, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember how this went. Oh yeah, he said, we're having a fan appreciation event where we're going around to all our fans, people who are fans in life, and thanking them for their support. And I said, oh, this is some kind of an event that you're having. It sounds like you're quite busy over there. He says, yes, as it turns out, the dead are quite lively. And I'm there like, boy, that sure sounds like something he'd say too, right? So they have apparently all kinds of events and things that they do together over there. There's also a group called the Heart Squad. David Bowie is one of them that another psychic talks about. She calls them the Heart Squad. They are a group that has joined together over there to help us get, I'm getting the chills. They're here. They're here as I talk about them. They have joined together to help us on this side. David Bowie's one. There's a group of them. David Bowie, Freddie Mercury, Prince, Princess Diana, I guess, is another one she talks about. I'm trying to think of the other psychic's name she saw. I guess Kurt Cobain's another one. But there are these people, some of them we don't even know. Oh, Tupac, the rapper, is another guy. They have joined together to help us on this side because they know how it was when they were alive, what they were going through. And she calls them, gosh, I can't think of her name right now. She calls them the Heart Squad because they come in and help people and show up to people, even if you don't know what they are. I mean, I know people that Tupac showed up to me. I didn't know who he was. I never listened to that music. And he doesn't care. He just laughs. He says, "Who do you think helped you write that rap song?" I wrote exactly one rap song. I never wrote a rap song in my life. So who do you think helped you write that? It's like I had no idea, but I knew it wasn't just me doing that. And he just laughed and laughed and thought that was hilarious. And that's the way his personality was. I hear he he has showed up to other people like that. David Bowie showed up to other people. A lot of people in this heart squad, in these how can I say it? We're not going to be sitting around just playing harps. Let me put it that way. I can guarantee you, if you don't want to be one of these people just sitting around playing a harp, you're not going to be. You're going to have plenty of choices of things to do when you get there. So don't worry about that, okay? Because some of these people are pretty darn busy. So, also, I wanted to read something nice she said. Pam said, I went to Arby's for lunch last week, got my food and found a table. There was an elder mother with her adult son with Down syndrome, and we see a lot of this. I've seen it too, a lot of that. As I settled in, I said to them, what a beautiful day for going out for lunch, and his face beamed and smiled. He then was telling me when they had finished how it was just his mom and him, his dad and brother had both passed. He was so excited I was talking with him. And James Ortiz said my two favorite brothers passed the same week. And sometimes people who are very close, they follow one another in death. Some people don't live very long without their cohort, without their complement. Some people pass away soon after their soulmate, or and a soulmate doesn't have to be a lover. A soulmate can just be somebody you're extremely close to, passes away. So all these things can happen. I'd like to hear Paul talk about. Okay, so anyway, that's what the chat's talking about, and what is enrollment like on the other side? Perhaps that might be what that question might be there. Okay, Paul, there you got that on the table.
All right.
All of that.
I don't know about enrollment. I know that we do have a meeting. The two that I mentioned who do like the between life studies, Rob Schwartz and now I don't remember his name. Okay. Now I'm not finding it, but anyway, before we come into this lifetime, we have a between lifetime. We have a meeting with what one might call the elders, our angels, our guides, and decide like what is it, what lesson do we want to learn, lesson or lessons do we want to learn, where could we best learn that, what parents would be the best for us, and we with our guidance choose our parents, and
yep.
we come in. And some of us who have had really rough experiences in childhood go, like, what was I thinking? Okay.
I know, I said that many a time.
Yeah, but oftentimes, if we have chosen, let's say we're old souls, we've been at this for a long time, and we choose to learn a particular lesson, and they say, I really want to get it this time. I want this to be the last time around on this particular issue. And
Mm-hmm.
so what we do is, let's say we want to experience learning through love and compassion. And so we come into a situation that is the exact opposite, so that we have to struggle and work like hell and do forgiveness work and healing work to get to that. And so, in all of that struggle to come out of the muck and into this living compassion and love, we get it because we really had to work like hell to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so, that isn't the only way to learn. Now, what I'm trying to cultivate, you might say, is learning and growing through joy.
Right. Me too.
And I'm partially there, but
Mm-hmm.
there's still, as much as we talk about our oneness and everything, there's still soul parts of me that, like, I just want to sit here and feel sorry for myself. And so you have to,
Yeah.
you, you kind of
And
have,
I always say, angels help,
yeah, you
because it's
kind of
like,
have to like bring them along.
I'm, I'm having trouble with this. I really need some help with
Yes,
this. Can you
yes,
kind of show me what to do here? Because I really don't know what to do with this. Yeah,
yes, yes. And that is
I've
a
had.
really excellent point, because those angels and those ascended masters and the elementals and our animal spirit guides, whatever and whoever,
Mhm.
they can only work by our permission. This is a free will zone.
Speaking of which,
This is a free will zone, and they will not violate our right of free will. So they depend on us to call. And do not ever think that you're bothering the angels. One thing I received about the angels was, how would you feel if you trained for a job for 100,000 years and no one ever asked you to do it? They are absolutely overjoyed when we call on them. We run into that sticky wicket, like Ocean just said, some stuck part of ourselves, and coming up and putting the brakes on things. And when we call those angels in, please help me with this. I'm feeling stuck here. Part of me doesn't want to grow. Please help me to let go of this, to release this. They will.
they
And
will come in and help.
with great
Your
joy.
guides, your guides too will come in and help you. Although I have had times when, like David, now he does help with some things. He kind of helps to cheer me up a lot. But I'll say, "What in the heck am I supposed to do here?" He goes, "I can't do your exam for you.
Right.
Sorry, love, I can't do your exam for you." So that's something that I then have to figure out. But
Hmm.
a lot of times I'll hit something and I'll go, "Okay, somehow I'm not letting go of this. I've tried like this way, that way, and the other way, and it's just not going. How am I going to let go of this? How am I going to get through that? How am I going?" And there has been a lot of heavy things around David himself, around our relationship, around my relationship with my parents, around my relationship when I was my childhood, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, with my ex-husband, and so on and so forth. And you know, and I needed a lot of help. So, but some way, shape, or form, you'll get it if you ask.
Well,
Although sometimes you may get it in a strange way, though.
I was taking a class, a healing class, and the teacher's name was Barbara. Wonderful, wonderful teacher.
Hmm.
And um, we were talking about, and she led us through a rescinding of old vows. Okay, because some of us have been priests and nuns and whatever in past lifetimes, and so we've taken vows of poverty, of chastity, of uh, um, what's the other one? Poverty, chastity, something. Anyway, um, but I'm talking about the one on poverty because some of us kind of struggle with money issues, and she led us through that, and then we were to check to see if we had really, if that had really released that. Well, I hadn't. And so I said, well, Barbara, I said, this is the third time I've rescinded that poverty vow. I said, why isn't it taking? And she said, well, let's check. And she was really excellent with muscle testing. So she could do it very quickly. So what we came to is I had an unconscious belief that I should suffer. So we had to release that I should suffer belief before I could rescind the vow. And so we did that work, and I said, oh my God, Barbara, my issues have issues. And she said, exactly.
My issues have issues. Oh God, I know that one.
Okay, so that might be a clue for you. If something is stuck, look deeper.
Right.
See if there's some unconscious belief like I should suffer, I'm not good enough, yada yada yada.
I've been working with those, Paul. I've been actually doing clearings on here now for the last few times. I do clearings from time to time here to see if I can uproot some of that stuff.
Excellent.
So, but the way I say it is, it's kind of like onion layers.
Yes.
You'll get through a layer and you'll get rid of that layer and you'll think, okay, I did that now, but there's another layer.
Well, every now and then you hear about someone.
How many times have you taken a vow of poverty, for instance, maybe?
Right. Every now and then you'll read or hear about someone's spiritual awakening that was a sudden event. And I believe that happens. It's very, very sincere. But I also believe that is actually more unusual. For most of us, spiritual awakening is not an event, it is a process. And I don't know why, but it seems like that is the way it is for me. For me, it's a process. Now, I have had like events, but not any complete, God realization moments. I've had wonderful moments with spirit, and things that have been life changing, but no one event that I could say, oh well, now I'm enlightened, or it just, for me, it seems to be a process
or a series of enlightenments.
That's a good way to put it.
Serial enlightenment, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's what we can call it. Like all of a sudden when I realized, it's like, wait a minute, I can see dead people and talk to them. Oh my gosh, I must be a medium. Yeah, duh. You know what that is. It's like, yeah, you can do that. Yeah. Why didn't it ever connect before? Oh gosh, I'm a medium. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Well, but we've had persecution for that, though.
Yes. Many of us have been, burned as a witch or drowned in a lake or otherwise persecuted for knowing what we were not supposed to be knowing, or we were a um, healer, midwife, or a prophet living in the wilderness, and um,
Yeah, look at what happens to those people a lot of
people didn't
times.
didn't like that. I mean, it's like whenever you're presenting something new, someone's going to be afraid of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or something contrary to towing the party line, whatever that is.
right, right. I mean, even to the point of the physician back in the 1700s, Australian, I can't remember his first name, Semmelweis.
But you
And
can remember Semmelweis.
Semmelweis, yeah, so I don't remember his first name, but anyway, he was a doctor in the 1700s in Austria, and the doctors who, they were helping women give birth in the hospital, but the rate of infection after giving birth of the women was a 90% death rate. Where the midwives, I mean, these women would beg to have a midwife deliver their baby instead of the doctor because their rates were much, much better.
Mm-hmm.
And so Semmelweis looked at this and he told the doctors they needed to wash their hands before they saw any new patients because they were literally doing an autopsy and wiping their hands on their bloody apron and then going and delivering a baby. Okay, so he told them they needed to start washing their hands. They put him in an insane asylum, and within 2 weeks he was dead. They literally murdered him. Now, can you imagine any surgeon today not washing their hands?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but this was a new idea in the 1700s, and he died for it.
Yeah, this idea of germs was radical.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was even before germ theory. He knew there was something. He knew there was something. And
oh, yeah, telling people that there might be these little creatures crawling around that are so small you can't see. That got people killed too.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
And branded as crazy. Oh, yeah, sure it did.
So basically, when you're introducing something new, expect some pushback.
Of course, now here is another thing I have to bring up, and I do want to bring up about this. I just took a couple of these classes that were the free one, or the ones that were not free, but they were very low enrollment and sliding scale enrollment. It was about something called healing the, healing the energy healer. It's something like, gosh, and I had it already. The persecution complex. The energy worker persecution complex. Because that is like very deep. And so this guy does a whole thing about healing the persecution complex because so many energy workers, so many light workers, so many, all of us who have been here doing this kind of work, trying to help people, have been so persecuted for so long, it makes an imprint on us. And that's actually what the karma thing is. And he says this even goes beyond. You mentioned the iceberg too. I've been mentioning the iceberg theory here. And you guys who have been around, you know what the iceberg theory is. It's your conscious subconscious. Your conscious life is the tip of the iceberg. The subconscious is all that stuff down there below sea level that you can't see, that you constantly drag around with you, that weights you down. So he says, even beyond that, then you go beyond that, you go into energy work and you find out that there's a lot there. But he says there's a layer even beyond that that's karmic work, that is getting rid of this past karma. and he says that is the last layer. So if you're on any of these intermediate layers, you're heading there. But the last, he says, the good news is the last layer is the karmic layer. So
Okay.
once you get through the other layers, what?
I'd like to make a comment about karma.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's basically action, reaction, sowing and reaping. Okay.
Right.
You wanted to put it in biblical terms.
Mm-hmm.
But it is not about punishment at all. It's about learning. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we are creators.
Mm-hmm.
So when we create a mess and we are experiencing that mess, the karma is to show us that what not to do. You know, like, ew,
Right.
you don't like this. Let's not do
Of
this.
course. Now, I have an argument that I have made.
Let me finish, okay? And then
Sure.
that's
Sure.
okay. But
We've discussed this.
so we have this, you know, like the repeating the stuff we send out, it comes back, but it's all in order. It's designed to teach us our lessons. If
Mm-hmm.
we actually get the lesson and we have a moment of grace, in that moment of grace, 10,000 years of karma can be completely dissolved like that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to work through every jot and tittle of it. Grace can erase it all instantly.
That's right. Grace can turn a horrible accident into maybe just a stub toe.
Yes. Okay. So now what were you going to present?
Okay, well, for one thing that I raised the question of is karma. First of all, I don't believe karma is what we think it is, what we've been trained to believe it is, okay, at all. Second of all, I don't think that it's working properly, and I think we need to modify it. And this is why I think so. Because, okay, here goes, and my thoughts of this after hearing this guy's version of it's a little different too, and I'll explain that if you'd like. But basically, if karma were the way we thought, it would be completely invalid because we can't remember what we did. So if it was the way we think it is, or the way that we're trained to believe it is, it would be completely useless because you can't remember between lives what you did. How could you ever possibly hope to learn anything from it? And if it worked, why wouldn't we all be wonderful people by now after thousands and thousands of years? Don't you think we would have if you could just chance upon it again and learn it again? Wouldn't we all just be peachy keen wonderful people by now, and we're not? So I think somehow either our understanding of it must be wrong, or it must be some kind of a principle or some kind of a system that needs drastic modification, or perhaps one that has been badly modified. Those are the three options that I can see. Is maybe we don't really understand it, maybe it doesn't really work and we need to change it, or maybe it's been modified somehow and needs revamping, because as it's been presented to most of us, it would not be functional. Because if you have no memory, you have no way to know what to do then, how to get yourself out of that loop.
The forgetting is very much.
Hey, Ember's Para World. Hi, how you doing? Oh, sorry, Paul. Go right ahead.
The forgetting is very much on purpose, because many of us have had some pretty wild past life experiences. And if we remembered all of it, if we remembered the time that we murdered, somebody or whatever, okay, we might be so overwhelmed with guilt that we wouldn't be able to focus on our current life lesson. And it's actually, there's a, at the moment that a woman is giving birth, her estrogen levels spike like 20 times. And so that child being born is flooded with a very high dose of estrogen. And there are those that actually think that that is actually part of our forgetting process. So that's an interesting theory, okay, that it's actually designed into our physical being, this forgetting process, and is only the rare spiritual master that actually remembers. Or sometimes some of us do past life regression work or something, and so we remember it. But the fact that we have to work hard at it, it comes back a little at a time in small enough bites that we can handle it. And then we do healing work on each bite as it comes back. But the idea is that we don't want to be so overwhelmed with that we become paralyzed in this lifetime and sabotage our own spiritual journey. So that's one perspective. My personal view is that that the karma is part of the divine plan. It's working absolutely perfectly, and that I agree with one thing you said is we don't really understand it. And I can't say I understand it all. That I absolutely agree with you. There's a whole lot of stuff we do not understand.
Well, that's one of the options I gave.
Yeah. I
we
think
don't really understand it.
But but I do, this Old Testament belief in an angry, vengeful God has paralyzed the world.
Yeah.
And part of our learning and growing is to wake up to the fact that we are so acutely loved. I'd like to read something. When I gave these talks in church, we had a meditation before the sermon. So I'd like to read a message I received from our great divine mother that shows how absolutely loved we are. It's open heart. You are my joy, beloved. You are my eternal and ever-present delight. Fall into my embrace of love. Fall, beloved, fall into my waiting arms, where you have always been and will always be. You are the exultant outpouring of my eternal soul, clothed in the sacred dust of Mother Earth. My heartbeat quickens with your every breath. Your curiosity invigorates my being. Fall, beloved, fall into my mind of bliss. I am bliss because of you. Day and night, night and day, joyously I croon the creation song of your soul. Fall, beloved, fall into my heart of love that you have never left nor ever will. Sweet, sweet, so sweet is the melody of your being, ecstatic tones so pure that they are an iridescent, living rainbow of exquisite sound, like the music of northern lights shimmering on new-fallen snow. Caressed in gentle moonlight love, your rhythm is the very beating of my heart. Fall, beloved, fall into my soul of grace that is the radiant essence of your being. You are the light of 1,000 suns, a luminescent jewel radiating the wisdom of every experience your soul has ever known. Your creative dreaming expands the realm of heaven's light. Fall, beloved, fall. You will not fall at all, wrapped as you are in my cocoon of love. Fall, beloved, fall into my heart of love that you have never left, nor ever will.
That one always makes me tear up a little bit.
Me too.
See, you didn't know Paul was a poet, did you? That's Paul's work. He has a book of poetry, by the way, Divine Poetry. My own guides, Divine Mother and Father, always say they love us infinitely.
Mm-hmm.
And that to them we are beautiful, coruscating tapestries of light.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that we have never done anything that could make us you've never done anything that can make us love you any more or any less. You're always loved. Exactly the same, which is infinitely.
Well, you know,
So, go ahead.
my thought is, you know, and I'm going back to the old teachings of the church, that we have a loving God that could somehow condemn us to eternal suffering in a lake of fire.
Right. I don't believe that.
I do not either, because that would mean that God had schizophrenia.
Absolutely.
And my God is not schizophrenic.
No.
No.
Not either.
You know, so you know, it's so absurd to me that.
Well, I shouldn't
but
say it that way.
people,
Okay, never
people
mind.
get programmed. Okay, people get programmed that this is true and this is true, and they don't see that they're believing in two completely opposite things at the same time. They literally
At the
don't.
same time, I know. I'm like, for the love of God, we must now crucify you, or, or
Yeah.
burn you at the stake, or
Right. Yes.
you know, how in the heck does this happen to people?
Right.
Oh, we believe in the God of love. Let's have a holy war and make sure everybody believes in him too. What the heck happened
Yes.
here?
Yes. Well, that's why we're here now, to change that narrative. And those, like the new thought thinkers like Emerson and Thoreau, they're in their beautiful works. Okay, they started talking about this and presenting this idea of an all-loving, you know, caring, compassionate God. And then others picked up on it. And so you have some of the like Unity, one of the New Thought churches, picking up on this idea, and then, you know, presenting a new way of thinking about our spirituality. And I think one reason that church attendance has just plummeted is because people are not rejecting God. They're rejecting this horrible, misshapen idea of God.
Right.
Which is actually a good thing.
Yes. That's
You know,
actually not bad.
if God could do this, then screw him. There's no way I'm going to go along with that, because they're kind and loving people.
Right. And I hate to say, this is going to be controversial, but Satanism started as a reaction to the Catholic Church. That's exactly why it started.
I did not know that.
Started as a reaction to the church. That was exactly how it started. They did not go along with any of that, and so they figured out that to them everything that the Catholic Church stood for was evil, and therefore everything that was against the Catholic Church must be the actual religion. That's how they went down that path,
You know,
supposedly.
and despite all that drama,
So,
and those actually that were totally corrupt and whatever, despite that, we've produced, or I shouldn't say we, but the church produced Saint Francis of Assisi. And a whole line of saints, and Brother Lawrence, who, you know, wrote this little booklet called Practicing the Presence of God. So there's shining jewels who came.
well, there are people who took the message to heart,
Yeah,
who took the actual message to heart and said, to
yeah,
heck with all
yeah,
of this
yes,
stuff. That if I take the actual message to heart, because like I said, Jesus, and that wasn't his name, by the way, because he wouldn't be called Jesus. J didn't even exist back then as a letter until
right.
about the 16th century. His name maybe would have been Yeshua. Yeshua actually is a historical character. Yes, a lot of times I'll say the guy that they're calling Jesus, the one they're calling Jesus, or whatever, so that people know who the heck I'm talking about. But that guy was, yeah, and he was a miracle worker and all that. But I, I will, and they hate when I say, know ye not that ye are gods and sons of gods. And they hate when I say, I am a door. But look, you don't worship a door. You walk through a door. You
Right.
use a door. It's a thing you use. It's not a thing you sit and worship.
Well,
You know, if you're worshiping something but you're not really living the words, you're not living the message, you're not, you know, what are you doing? What's the point? What's going on here?
in
That's
in
what a lot of people can't live with. It's like,
in support of what you're saying, the two of my favorite scriptures are, the things that I do, you shall do also, and greater things, because I go unto the Father. So
right,
he was lifting us up. And okay, now I referred earlier to that when Jesus said, the Father and I are one. Okay, that was early
right,
in John. But now later in John, like in somewhere in John 17, Jesus was praying passionately, I mean passionately, that all of us have that same relationship with God that he did.
right.
Now, why would a spiritual master of his caliber be praying to God passionately for something that we couldn't do? That makes no sense at all.
Right.
You know?
Uh,
So,
See, there's
so
so much of this that people are just not, they don't,
yeah,
they've been told. I'll tell you what happened is somebody decided what the party line was going to be, and you're going to hear it this way.
yes.
And I know that that's what happened to me. You're going to hear this way. Here is somebody that was trying to help us, came to help us, sort of like you and I came to help us. Not to say that we're quite the same, but to say he came to help. This
Well,
guy's trying to help,
I only want,
and instead people are beating each other. You remember the part where and I don't mean to make this Bible study either for those of you who are not really into this. And I'm not hating on anybody. I'm really not. I'm not trying to do that. It's just, to me, it's so ridiculous how people, they don't get the plot. They lose the plot of this whole thing. If you're going to do this, the whole idea is not, I mean, he even said, there's even one where his disciples came and they beat up a guy. They said, we beat him up because he didn't believe in you. We wanted him to believe in you. Now he said, don't do that. He very, very clearly says, don't do that.
but then you have things like the Inquisition and the,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I'm like, "Ugh, it's
Well,
backwards." Like I said, this is the inverted matrix. This is the clown world. This is
well,
the
there's very long cycles. The 26,000 year. Um,
right.
oh, I'm blanking on the. It's called
The
Great Year or the procession of the equinoxes.
Well, yeah, there are the ages, and then there
Yeah.
are the yugas.
Yes. Well, the procession of the equinoxes, are moving from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius or whatever. These are huge expanses of time, and it's like if you think of a wheel, Buddha came about 500 years before Jesus, so he actually came in a descending dark age.
Right.
And I think that Buddha and Jesus were kind of like a tag team,
Mm-hmm.
and Buddha came. Most new ideas first come into our intellect as a thought.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that Buddha came to open our third eye, to spiritualize our intellect, and to help us to prepare. And Jesus came at like kind of the darkest of the dark age, is when he actually
Yeah,
is when he
that was a
actually
pretty dark age.
but he's known as the man of heart. So Buddha came to open our third eye, and Jesus came to open our heart chakra. Okay. So that's why I think of them as a tag team. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's been like 2,000, 2,500 years since they came. Many people are just starting to get it now,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and then there's another spot in the Bible where it says too, and please don't take offense but it's in there. I remember reading it because as a kid I had to read this. This was something we had to do. That's the way I was raised. Is that the false doctrine would first be preached to every corner of the earth before the true doctrine would come out. And there is one doctrine that has been preached to every corner of the earth, do I have to say, through missionaries and stuff like that. Therefore, what's the false doctrine? Sorry, it's in the book.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to go by that book, either go by it or don't go by it. I don't care. It's not my problem. But if we're looking at that, what does that mean? So then what does that mean? There is a new doctrine being taught now, being understood now. What does this really mean? Who was Jesus really? Who were these saints really? And what was really being taught here? What were we trying to learn? Weren't we really trying to learn ascension, not how to worship somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
That's what the point was.
Yeah, we need to get to a place of self-actualization. Getting to that point where we actually experience the oneness, and I mean, sometimes the yogis from India, the ones that have reached this enlightened state, one of the things they say is, I am that.
Yeah.
I am that. Okay. And that's another way of saying the Father and I are one. They just use different language,
Right.
And they realize.
Well, once again, our language has been babbled, so we've got to use whatever we can to get the point across.
But like you started very early on in the show, you were talking about that, I am God.
Yes.
I mean, basically.
And obviously, if I can be still and know that I am God, then you can be still and know that you are God. Therefore,
I mean,
I am God, and so are you.
We live in a holographic universe, which means that every
or holofractal, actually, but
every piece of it, in a hologram, every piece of it contains the pattern of the whole.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so every bit of wisdom, power, goodness, and light in the entire universe is within each and every one of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's all contained within us.
Right. So basically, the idea of the holofractal is like the hologram, but if you've ever seen a fractal, you notice that a fractal buds off from a main fractal. And though it looks like it might be something different, as it grows, you realize it is a copy of the main fractal, the fractal before it.
Mm-hmm.
It buds off, buds off, buds off. Nature does this, right?
Yeah, you see it branching of trees. You can actually see it if you look at coastlines.
Mm-hmm.
You see a pattern, but there's smaller patterns within the larger pattern. It's absolutely shows up everywhere in nature.
See, that's my theory of why the different kinds of tools work. The different like that's why the cards work. That's why the stars work. That's why looking at the stars, that's a big pattern. That's a mega pattern, really. Looking at the cards is a micro pattern. But they're going to reflect each other. And they're going to reflect our lives too, because our lives also reflect that same pattern.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you can look at the stars. It'll reflect the patterns that are going on in people's lives. You can look at the cards. It'll reflect the pattern that's going on. They're all reflecting the same pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are part of the same pattern. Okay? So we are all one here. This is all part of the same thing. Everything's part of the same thing. We're not all separate little pieces like people would have us believe. Like we're one little planet out here floating in the middle. How could there ever be aliens? We're one little lonely planet. It's like, no way in hell is that right. You know? That's another thing. Hell was never created by God. You can't find it in the Bible where hell was ever created.
Right. No, that
God
was
never created hell.
Man-made concept.
Yes.
I have a theory about like doing readings. Okay, and you might be using tarot cards or angel cards or animal spirit guide cards or tea leaves or something. Okay.
Or runes or whatever you're using. You know.
So yeah, bones or whatever. Okay, but my theory is that any wisdom that you bring forth is already inside you.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like, okay, you get involved in life and whatever, and cooking your meals and cleaning the floor, and you just get involved in life, and so we're kind of in this busy mode, and so that wisdom, that light sometimes is obscured. So then we take a deep breath, and somebody comes to us, oh, please give me a reading. So you get your cards or your tea leaves or whatever the hell you use, you get that out, and those are focusing tools. You focus on that long enough that it quiets the other noise, and then you can bring forth that wisdom that was already inside of you. So what do you think? Am I full of crap?
Well, that's why they call it the better teachers tell you there is no power in the cards. There is no power in this or that. It's a focus. It's a tool.
Okay.
The power is within you.
So
you are the power. It's called a focus or a tool for a reason.
So we're on the same
yes.
stream there. Okay.
It's to get you to focus. It's like, okay, you know how it is being a psychic. You're all over the place a lot of the time. You're picking up stuff from everywhere.
Right.
And so, but you need some way to focus in on the question you're asking. Sometimes, you know?
Right.
And it's like, okay, and this card is that's why we have the layouts. And I'm teaching tarot. So if anybody's interested, I've already given 2 tarot lessons. Is the reason we have layouts is what area of life is this talking about? What is this card talking about? What is this talking about? So that we're not getting confused. You know, it's like there's so much information comes in sometimes, and you have to, and especially when you're trying to explain it to people, that you have to have some way of categorizing it so that you can say what area of life it's dealing with. Well, this is the querent. This is what's crossing the querent. This is what's going on in the love life. This is what's going on in the financial life. This is, you know, that kind of thing. You have to have that. Because if you don't have that, now sometimes you just get, this is what's happening. But sometimes it's like, okay, there's so many things happening here now. How do I pick out which is the thing I'm supposed to be paying attention to?
Right.
So, and that can really happen. I mean, honestly. So, and then explaining it to the person. It gives me a way to explain it to the person. Okay, you see this means this. Because otherwise sometimes you just try and explain things to them and their eyes just kind of glaze over and you're like, okay, that isn't going to work. Because to you, it's perfectly clear, to them, it's mud, you know. So you have to have some way of showing them that what you're talking about sometimes, you know, it helps. But I've also done clairvoyant readings where I just said, here, this is what I'm seeing. So you can also do that. But
yeah. Motion. I need to sign off here. So
okay, pal, you know what? Once again, as always, it's been wonderful. I want to talk to you about doing we need to pray for James. We need to do a energy.
I wrote his name down. He's going on my prayer list. So,
and I did something just beforehand.
There. So I've got James right here written down.
James, you're and he's already had some things happen in the time it took for us to do this show. He's already had some better things happen. So
right.
So keep James. I want to say, everybody, keep James in your thoughts, and send some positive energy that way. We love every one of you. If you're having a problem, please do come and let us know. We'll add you on the list. We'll do some energy work for you. We'll help you out, okay? And we know who to send you to get you to the right place to help you out for a lot of this stuff, okay? And that's Deep Woo.
And James, if you're still listening, as soon as the intention went out from us on the higher planes, the healing occurred.
Right.
Okay. But now we're going to go through the motions so that we make sure we do our part. Spirit's already done. It's already done. Your healing is already a done deal.
Right.
But we have to feel like we're doing our part, so we're gonna say our prayers.
Right.
But as soon
we're
as
going to do the energy work, because that's what we're doing our job.
Well, thank you.
Okay, love you. And thank you so much, Paul, for coming in. It's always amazing every time you come.
Thank you, everybody, for your attention and your love, and good night.
Good night, Paul. Have a great sleep. Okay, there we go. That was Paul Christian. And as usual, a great speaker and very knowledgeable man. And I hope you enjoyed the show. I also wanted to put out a little bit of information about the situation in East Palestine, and I wanted to put a couple other things out there, but I don't think we're going to have time because I'm already 2 hours. No, you know what? I do have a little bit of time, but I don't want to go too much later than a couple of hours. So I guess I can hang around and do that for the people who would be coming in later anyway. So I guess I'll just hang around a little bit and just stick around. I might move it. Now, I would like to know what you guys think about this for spring and the summer, since we're having the fall or the spring forward. I might move the show back to 8. I'd like to know what you think of that. Please leave a comment on this video whenever you hear it on what time you think would be better, because in all the way from 8 to 10 would be a time to start, but I wouldn't think later than 10 would be way too late for most people. And I realize we get people from other places, but I'm trying to find a time that is somewhere in the middle so people have a chance of making it. Also, the other thing I'm thinking is we might be able to have different times on different days. That may be another way we can do this. Like Sunday can be an earlier day, Monday can be a later day, something like that. So, tell me your thoughts on that. And we might adjust the times for the seasons. Okay. And because we can do that, because this is my channel, I can do what I freaking want. Okay. And I also wanted to mention there are a lot of new developments with East Palestine. As you know, I'm in Ohio. I'm only about an hour away. I have pictures of what's going on. I'm telling you once again, I've said this for years now. I believe we are in an undisclosed conflict with China. That's what's, I think, is really going on here. And China has been buying up land in the United States. And Ohio is very bought up. And we have a university owned by them here. They had a map of land owned by China where it states where land was owned by China. And Ohio is very much pwned. So we have had 5 different things happening surrounding Lake Erie. We've had 5 different things here in Cuyahoga Falls. I have pictures that I've taken, photos that I've taken of these walls, dark walls and they look like more than storm clouds. They have a kind of an eerie look to them. Turned out one of them was East Palestine. And we knew that wasn't a normal cloud because they're like walls of clouds. They're not a normal cloud cover. Okay. I'm going to see if I can't show you this. Well, we'll see if this is going to work or not. We're going to try and get okay. Let's see. Here is, it's going to be the background. Now I think I'm going to have to take out my camera to, nope, that still doesn't show it. Okay, I don't know how I'm going to show you this. Doggone, that isn't going to work. No, unfortunately. I'm going to have to find a different way to do this. I'm putting different backgrounds in. I'm trying to show you but I can't take me out of it. So I can't really show you. I'm trying to find a way to show you pictures in here, but it's just not working. I don't know how to do that. I can't get it to do that yet, but I'll figure it out sooner or later. Or maybe I'll think of something. Okay. Anyway, let me see if I can change the layout. If changing the layout does any good. Mm-mm. Nope. Nope. I don't think that's going to do much. Okay. Nope, that isn't doing it either. Okay, it's just not going to do it. So, okay. Now, I cannot show you. I'm putting them in the background and it's just not working. We're going to have to work on that somehow because that's just making me very annoyed that there is no way for me to show you from my phone any pictures of anything. But I put them in the thumbnail. In the thumbnail, you can see that we actually have dark clouds going around this area, literally to the south. I was wondering what this wall of clouds, what dark clouds was. Turns out that was East Palestine. Then I walk out another day, and here it's coming down from the north of us. And I'm like, what the heck? That was Cleveland. Holy cow. Then I come out and I see clouds. I don't know what it was, but it was clouds going around. It split right down the middle. I'm not kidding, like the Red Sea around us. And I've got pictures if you want to see. So I'm going to have to put them, I put one in the thumbnail and you can see it. Very bizarre cloud pattern. And you'll see it. Very dark, very bizarre. And then over in the north was this big wall. That, the whole sky was a wall of black cloud. So it's very interesting to be living in Ohio right now. But I'm hoping that what this does is get people thinking about what the heck is going on. One of the problems we're having now is they have dug up all of this contaminated soil and they don't have anywhere to dump it. Only some of it got dumped, and then same way with the water. They're sucking up all this polluted water and nobody wants to take it. And people have got to start thinking, what are we going to do when this happens? What do we do with all these contaminants when there's nowhere to put them anymore? Nobody wants their place polluted. What are we going to do about it? And what if that was a way more populated area? But here's an interesting thing, because I kept saying this for a while. I have said the only problem is, for instance, it's like I'm not endorsing a candidate. I'm not endorsing a particular candidate. However, things were a lot better economically when we had, and as far as peace, when we had a different guy. Okay. In my mind, Orange Man was not bad. Okay. We were told over and over again he was, but they haven't been able to actually get on anything on him, and it isn't like they haven't tried. Okay. So is he really a bad guy? The only problem was he didn't seem to know very much about environmental stuff. However, he did go down and visit East Palestine. Think on this. Now he's seen it firsthand. Don't you think that's going to change a man? And if you're an honest man, maybe that's going to change you a lot. Okay? So I'm going to probably leave it there. I don't know who's still here. We've probably got some people, because it's been it's been nearly 3 hours. Holy carp. Were we on that long? Yes, we were. And Paul just took out. Well, he lasts a lot longer than he usually lasts. That was a long one for Paul. So kind of getting the night owl in and instilled in him. Okay. So, wow. Now I don't know whether to hang around and say, hey, y'all, to the people who come in at 10, or to just say, well, we were on. Because I've got to also get ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be our, since we're on a full moon, we're going to be doing full moon readings tomorrow. Full moon free card readings tomorrow. And we're going to be doing, I'll do a little bit more update about East Palestine. And I also have, and I am so sick of hearing about the balloon. Although something has come up, I knew there was something screwed up about this. But somebody came up with something, and I have to say, yeah, I think they got a point. And I'll bring that up later, like I said, in another show. But yeah, there's some things about all of this goofy stuff that's been happening lately that just, I mean, we can all tell something strange is going on. It's just obvious. Something odd is going on. So, hey, so much, Jake. So, well, hope you enjoyed the show. Like I said, thanks for letting me know you were still around. You were here in the beginning, and now you're here for the end of it. Thanks. So, I'm just sitting here going. I'm sitting here in the middle of Ohio, and actually Northeast Ohio. This is my domain. Now I'm protecting my domain. I mean, I'll show you the picture of the clouds splitting if we could. I'd show you. The clouds split. Going down south of us, going down north of us. Yep. It coming at us and splitting. I don't have a video of it. I have pictures of it. But you'll see how bizarre this looks, okay? You can see this clear blue sky. You can see this clouds rolling in, very heavy dark clouds. And then you see this patch of blue sky over where I live. And the clouds just splitting down the middle. And I went out there, and it's like, it was the strangest freaking thing. Every time I walk out there, I see something strange. I get ready to take a picture because I just know there's going to be something weird out there. You know, I don't hardly ever take a picture of the sky that there isn't something strange there. Hi, James Ortiz, you're still with us, huh? Because I can't really tell how many people are still actually here. It only tells me who's chatting. So, you know, if you haven't chatted lately, it says you're not here. You know, it doesn't know you're here. So, I know I'm protecting my area. I know that Gemini Moon is protecting her area. She's been doing that. We need to recruit some more people. If we could protect our areas, we wouldn't be having these problems at all, anywhere. But as it is, and I know we're getting some pushback, I can feel that too. So somehow we need more people who can do this. I always ask that it be in balance. You know, that if it's not going to be out of balance, can you give me like a 60-degree day? And they've been doing it, you know, it's been happening. But I don't want it to be out of balance. So if it's cold or if it's rainy or if it's snowing, I just take it that for some reason it needs to be that way to keep things in balance. So I try to just take it that way and not take it personally like, I wanted this, you know, I don't want it to go out of balance like California is so out of balance. I mean, that's the thing that I get. California is just so out of balance. Somebody has been screwing with the weather so much in California to have nice weather all the time that they gave themselves a freaking drought. Okay? A drought is not nice. If you don't have water, you can't really live, you know? The plants can't live. People have, so there, I feel strongly that there are people doing this, yeah, but maybe not for balanced reasons and in an out of balanced way. So I'm not going to show anybody how to do this unless they agree that they're going to try and do it in a balanced way, because I don't want to add to the problem. I have some responsibilities, and I don't want it to be on my hands that somebody goes out and does something real stupid. Okay. Although I can't really control that, I can to a certain extent say who, and I think this is why the whole idea of things being esoteric or hidden, you know, if you have just any old idiot going out there doing stuff, they can actually wreak a lot of havoc. Some people have more power than brains, okay, and more power than common sense and more, you know, will. I mean, it takes a lot of. I'm not going to go too deeply into it, but it's just I don't want things to go out of balance. I don't want to be responsible for any of that. So I'm going to be very careful with this, with how I present this. I feel it was kind of passed on to me by Grandmother Londa. Although I'm doing it entirely different than she did. Entirely different. You were resting. Oh, okay. Well, I know a lot of people rest and listen. And I know a lot of people that kind of listen to us in bed. You know, they're just lurking. That's okay too, or listen to us the next day or whatever. I know that. So that's okay. And James, like I said, I think things are going to be looking up for you. You've got people in your corner, and don't be afraid to ask your angels for help. Don't be afraid to send them off and get them doing tasks for you. Whatever you need, tell them what you need. Say, hey, I need this. Hey, I need that. Bring this into my life. Bring that into my life. Bring this and that opportunity into my life. Okay? You can do that. It'll work. You know, have a little faith in it. Strange as it seems, we're not powerless. And I know it feels that way because I've had times when I really felt that way. Sometimes it really helps if you have somebody else helping you to do these things. As a matter of fact, I know that well, that it really helps if you have somebody who is already really good at this, who can help you also, who can keep that vibration so that you can it can kind of pull you up, because we all kind of slide sometimes out of the very high vibration. I mean, I just did, like I said, I just did some work today that honestly, it depressed the heck out of me to do this soul work, this karmic soul work, karmic persecution complex thing. It depressed the heck out of me, but that's another layer coming up, or that is another part of the iceberg popping up because I'm melting the bottom away. So, sometimes you just have to keep chipping away at things. Okay, let's see. It's 11:05. We've been on for nearly 3 hours now. And, I don't want to really make this 4 hours. So as much as I love talking with you and to you, I think I'm probably going to cut it off right around 3 hours, unless somebody comes in and suddenly, has something to share. That, that pertains, but I don't think that's probably going to happen. Tomorrow night, I'm trying to decide whether it will be at the regular time or earlier. Like I said, we might be getting an earlier time due to the time change and also the seasons. I think this next one is going to be at 10, but I think possibly as we head for Wednesday, it might, depending on what I hear from different people, we might be rolling back the time to 8 or 9, even 9. So just stay apprised of it. I'll put out an announcement of some kind, possibly a short or something that'll announce it. So I'm really happy that you stopped by my channel. The truth is where you find it, and I hope that you're finding it on my channel. I keep trying to bring it to you. And I really, tomorrow probably won't be the day because we're going to be doing card readings, or maybe we'll have time. I don't know. I'd really like to do a little discussion on how this all relates to the big picture, all of the stuff that's been going on in Ohio and actually other places too, relates to each other and relates to this big picture, how I see it relating. And and then I think we need to get a little wooey. Okay, we need to do some woo about this. I think we're getting called to step up to the plate and do some stuff. So, hey, shamans, it's time for you to spring into action and do some stuff. If you can see what's happening, maybe you should do something about it. Okay. Oh, hey, hi, Michelle. just in from out of town. Oh, hi, honey. Wooey time, yeah. Well, we had an early show today because Paul was on and he's not a night owl. So it was a very, very woo about well, you read it. That picture in the thumbnail, Michelle, and whoever else might be looking, that picture was the clouds coming at us from the north. No, wait a minute. That wasn't aimed north. That was from the. Wonder what was going on in the. That would have been west. And then they just split. Huh. I'm going to have to look on a map where that would have been from. Akron and follow the map up prevailing winds because the clouds just split over us and blue sky above our heads. Everybody else on either side having these black clouds. Very interesting cloud pattern. And then I also wanted to mention how in the pictures I have of the wall of hydrochloric acid cloud from East Palestine, there are many ships up there, and I've learned to be able to see them. I mean, you'll see triangle shape and really weird shaped clouds. That's ships trying to camouflage themselves with plasma, usually trying to use clouds as a cover up. So, and you can often, when the sun shines through the right way, you can actually see the shadow of the shapes behind the clouds, or sometimes the cloud is just too perfectly angular. That's another one that's I find so funny is I look at a cloud and it's like they're trying to convince us that there are these new kinds of clouds that didn't used to exist. Like these sharply angular, triangular clouds and diamond-shaped clouds and all of this crazy stuff that they're trying to convince us exists because they've got to cover up the fact that there's ships up there. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Once you know what you're looking at, and if you have feelings, you can also feel. If you have the ability to feel things like that, you can also feel there's something up there, even if it's a clear blue sky and no clouds, because of the way that the cloaking mirrors the sky above it. So if it's a clear blue sky, they can just be hanging there and you can't see them at all. There's no discrepancy in the cloud pattern. So you look up, and there's been times when it's like, I know you're there. I know you're there. I know you're hanging like right there. And I mean, one time I'm there like, okay, there's something there. It feels too close. It just felt like there was something right over, hard to describe. And okay, I know you're there. I know something's there. I don't know what you are. I can't see you with my eyes, but I know you're there. And an ant dropped on me out of nowhere, and I was like in the middle of nowhere. Where did this ant drop? What did it drop off of? Dropped straight down onto my arm. It's like, okay, that ant dropped off of something. What's up there? Oh, it's so weird sometimes being me. Yeah, watch the replay. It's good. They assume we're idiots. Yeah, they assume we're all idiots out here. Do I ever lose hope? Actually, see, it was just 11:11 for me. It's because I'm an hour different from you. No, not for a long time. There was a time when I had almost lost hope. almost completely. But lately, there are times when I'm really, really darn tempted, really tempted. Um, you know, when I pay too much attention to people trying to tell me all the negative stuff. But ever since I know that we can change things, that we don't have to just sit around helpless, the victim, or not we don't have to be victims, that there's something we can do about this, then I have hope again. So I have to keep my vibe up, not to lose hope. Yeah, sometimes it looks pretty scary, but as scary as it looks, I also know we're going to get through this. I know that we have been given the power and the tools to do this, to get through this. It's just finally time we're going to have to step into this. So I guess this second part of the show, now that you guys have shown up, I guess there are a few people showing up now finally, is when I look at what is going on and realize how much China owns of the United States. And somebody was showing a map. The balloon, that crazy balloon thing that everybody's like, what? Just spy balloon. You know what? I'll tell you, here's a theory why they couldn't shoot it down, why they didn't shoot it down. What if it was flying over China? Why? How could that be? It was going right down the middle of the United States. Well, guess what? They own land. I bet you, and I'm going to double check this, but I bet you the path of the balloon was following their land. And if we had shot it down, that would have been an act of war. Because they're allowed to fly balloons over their own land. Right. So if they would have shot it down and it was over Chinese owned land, if it was a Chinese balloon at all. So you got to think like this. That would have been an act of war. That's a thought. There's a conspiracy theory for you. Remember, I had to get some new conspiracy theories because my old ones mostly all turned out to be true. Yeah, flying ants. What the heck? No, it just dropped straight down onto my arm. I watched it just went splat on my arm. It's like, I knew something was up there. Now I know they're so small and light that the wind, if there's a strong wind, they can be blown. But nah, I don't think that's what happened. I think it dropped off of something that was hovering over our heads because I felt that. It was like, it's that feeling you get, a kind of a claustrophobic, not really claustrophobic, what would I call it? It felt like it's like when you can feel that somebody's watching you. And it's funny because they've proven this, that you can feel when somebody's watching a lot of times. You're like, somebody's watching me, and yes, quite often, if you're feeling that, somebody is. So it's just like this thing that we got, embedded, baked into the program. Well, same way, it's like I could feel like there was something there and couldn't see it, but I could feel it. Anyway, hard to explain. Well, it can look scary and bleak. And the thing is I'm not, I don't want to be ignorant and not, and turn a blind eye to everything that's going on. Some people decide to go that way. They can't keep their vibe high if they pay attention to what's going on at all. Okay, I kind of understand that. And sometimes I have to step away from it too. But then I also realize that being I am who I am, I should be paying attention because I may be called upon to do something about it. Maybe the universe is expecting me to do something about this. Maybe that's part of my job coming up here. So I kind of have to take a look at it, at least. And then tell myself not to be scared out of my brains. Because some of the stuff I see, if I allowed it, would scare the living crap out of me. Yes. Yeah, I look at it and I'm like, oh boy, we're half owned by China. And there are other nations that have bought up land here too. Are we really the United States of America anymore? Are we really Chinerica, and don't know it, haven't been told? And how hard would it be if there was an attack? We're not allowed to go onto their land. We're not allowed to snoop onto their land either. They own it in our country. Our country has been chopped up. It's pretty scary, guys. I don't want to live in China. But it looks like Ohio is largely owned by China. No wonder stuff is screwy, right? And we're not told this. I guess I will have to find that map and I'll have to find some way to present that map. But I'm like, that would explain a lot. Maybe not the little burg that you're in or the little county that you're in. Oh, this is another thing. Some of the counties in Oregon are so pissed off by what Portland's doing in Portland politics that they want to secede from Oregon and become part of Idaho. That was the latest. I'm like, oh, wow. Is that going to be weird if states start seceding if counties start seceding from states? Just like states threaten to secede from the union. This could be really weird, really quick. Suddenly I don't want to suddenly be living in West Virginia or something, or Pennsylvania, or suddenly find myself living in a different state and I haven't even changed locations, maybe. That would be bizarro world again there, that's pretty weird if you think about it. If you're one of those places in Portland, they decide you're going to just secede from, nope, sorry, don't live in Oregon anymore. You're in Idaho now. It's like, what? I'm now an Idahoan? Idaho? Yeah, heck no, I'm not the hoe. You the hoe. You the hoe. I'm not the hoe. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Idaho. What a name for a state. Idaho. No. Oh dear. And then it's potato land. Oh dear. I don't know. Anyway. Okay, cracking on Idaho. I'm not hating on Idaho. I am not. I love potatoes too. They're nice. Potatoes can be nice, even though they are a nightshade family. They're the roots, and the roots aren't as dangerous. So I eat them from time to time. But yeah, that would be weird. If I wake up and it's like, I'm sorry, you're part of Virginia now. What? or somewhere else. I mean, I guess you could probably be part of anywhere. I'm sorry, you now live in New York. What? Go anywhere. Okay, so yeah, just maybe I'll be part of Michigan. So maybe maybe we'll just all be moving to Michigan without moving to Michigan. Tell me it's such a weird concept. I don't know. I just found a lot of fun in that. It's like when the New Age commenced and they told me that you're not, I was a Sagittarius all my life, right? And then they tell me, oh, now that range of days there is Ophiuchus. What? Yeah, you're an Ophiuchus now. I've been a Sag all my life. You're an Ophiuchus now in the new horoscope or whatever. I'm like, how did this happen? Okay. But it can happen. We're in the days when this stuff can happen. That's the days we're in. Okay? Things can change on a dime. It's not just the Mandela effect. It's like it's not just the Mandela effect. There's even more to it than that. And not only that, but I've been told two things that seem to be mutually exclusive can be true at the same time now. So look out. Just like I got that both Donald and Joe were going to win and lose. I was like, how could that be? Well, there you go. Look at it. It happened. Okay. They both won and they both lost. In a manner of speaking, which lets me know, yeah, some freaky stuff was done with the ballots. Anybody can say anything they want. Has to be. Okay. Sorry, that's just wait. Pardon me. I'm just about to sneeze, and rather than sneeze my head off, it's like I've been having trouble every time the furnace kicks on. So yeah, we're very in deep woo. Yeah, this is very deep woo. I'm deep. Well, it's like it says on the can, right? Like it says on the tin. Deep woo. I'm back to deep woo. People got actually upset when I got a little lighter, when I got a little shallower. I thought maybe I'm being too deep. No, they wanted deep. Nobody else is this deep. They want the really deep woo. Okay, fine. No, that's why we joined up. We want the deep stuff. Okay, fine. I can do that. Only thing is, sometimes I wonder, am I going too far, with this? But I guess there isn't any more what's too far. Is there a definition for that? I don't know. Certainly kind of messing with the definitions for everything, aren't they? But another thing is, oddly enough, Texas is where they thought they were going to dump this toxic water from East Palestine. Texas said, no, we're not taking it. So now guess what? They're stuck with a whole bunch of polluted water and nowhere to put it. And then they've got all this polluted land. And they thought they were going to take that, I think it was to Michigan. And Michigan took a couple of tons and then said, nope, that's all we're taking. And they're like, but we still got 3 more tons. It's like, tough. You can only take 2. Well, what are we going to do? Well, we don't know. What are they going to do? They got tons of polluted soil that nobody wants to have on their land. And where was the train headed to? It turns out the train was headed in the vicinity of, a plastics plant that somehow sprang up right on the Cuyahoga River, not the Cuyahoga, the Ohio River, without anybody saying anything about it. Wait a minute. Plastics. They deal with a lot of very volatile and poisonous chemicals. And they parked themselves right near a river. What does that sound like? Knowing what we know now about, no, we don't want your polluted stuff. What do you think's going to happen with that polluted stuff that they put off from this factory? Why do you think they parked themselves by a river? There's another conspiracy theory for you. Okay? Chew on that one a while. And the company, the railroad company, is in trouble. I mean, they've been getting in trouble pretty. They shouldn't even still be, the way that it is right now, they shouldn't even still be in business as much stuff as they've had with that company. That company should be gone by now. They should have lawsuits out the wazoo. And I recommend anybody who got hurt by any of this, and I'm even thinking we need a group lawsuit for everybody affected, which would be everybody. I mean, they found some crap from this up in Alaska. It's like, that's pretty far. Over in Michigan, some kind of crap they found all the way over in Michigan. So we got to start paying attention to this, and we've got to hold our leaders to start paying attention, responsible for not taking care of this crap, not taking care of this stuff. This needs to be taken care of. I say America's infrastructure first, and Ukraine is just going to have to, it's going to have to go fish for a while if they want something. You should be taking care of your own house first. That's something that drove me crazy about my ex. Is he bought a rental place, and our place was falling apart. He was putting all the money into the rental place, and our place was falling apart. That's what I feel like. I'm living this all over again. I feel like I'm living this just, come on. How is it that I'm living this again? I got to clear this, right? But that's the way it is. I mean, my dad repaired TVs in the beginning before he got his bank job. Dad repaired TVs. Our TVs were never fixed. We had like 5 broken TVs lying around the house while Dad was out fixing other people's TVs. Yeah, that's the way people are. Well, because there's no money in it, nobody's paying him to fix our TVs. So, oh, geez. Anyway, just some weird thoughts. Yeah, everything is so surreal. I know, Michelle, isn't it? It's so freaking, it's like you're there like, am I tripping or is this happening or am I dreaming or yeah, how can this be happening in a real reality? Well, my theory, it wouldn't be happening in a real reality. Therefore, this is not a real reality. Maybe not. Might be a simulation. Why else would this crazy shit happen? If it was a real place, do you think this would happen? Do you think this stuff would be able to happen? Yike. Yeah, the weirdest movie ever, absolutely. Yeah. I'm pretty convinced in the simulation. I'm pretty convinced of the simulation theory. I mean, it makes sense to me. So much would make sense then from that, proceeding from that. The Mandela effects would make sense. The glitches would make sense. There's just so many things would make sense. I mean, even some of my memories would make sense. So, yeah, pretty invested in that right now, as of now. Now, if I find something that refutes that completely, or until then, it's my working hypothesis. We're in a simulation. Have to be. There's no way this can be real. How could this possibly be real? And I don't mean real as in, yeah, we're living it. It's real that way. You're going to feel it. I mean real as in, how could this be reality prime? How could that be? Yeah, or something happened to change it. Well, like we said, it's the inverted matrix. Why? It looks like it got hacked or virused. They're calling it the virus. Well, here we got some friends that worked on pushing the reset button, and all of a sudden, after that, we see that here we're talking about a virus and a reset and a great reset. Yeah, I mean, there's so much going on here that's so obviously to me would make sense if this was a simulation. It fits. I mean, even the way that the universe is coded with sounds, numbers, frequencies. We find out everything's energy, everything's frequency. That's what it would be if it was a simulation. And there isn't anything really solid here. Everything is just energy. Everything has, all of these molecules have space between them. And really the molecules are just a vibrating point. It's just vibrating energy. That's all it is. I mean, and the more they get into the quantum stuff, the more they realize everything is just energy. There isn't any real matter anywhere. And that there's code. The universe has code. We're in a coded place with code all over the place. And it's like we couldn't understand it before maybe, but now where we've got to the point where we're doing this kind of thing ourselves, now it's kind of like, oh, whoa, wait. There's something like way too familiar about this. We're building it. We're building it for the future. We're trying to do it right now. We're working on this exact thing. And if it's a hollow fractal, then every little iteration that buds off of the main one is going to look like the one before it, which means here we go again, and which is why the cycles keep repeating. Here we go again. We're making the AI. You're making the artificial, we're making another simulation to live in. Right now as we speak. It's being created. how bizarre is that, right? So, yeah, when you think of it, it's like, whoa. And I'm trying to, of course, foster natural ascension, evolution, etc. Because if you go artificial, you're never going to have a chance at the natural evolution again. Then that's kind of going to cut that road off, which may be why the Greys are in trouble. I mean, I'm thinking, is that how the Greys got themselves into trouble? They went so far into the AI realm, that they cut themselves off from reality, from the real stuff. Maybe they cut themselves off from nature so far that now they're stuck, you know, and that's why they can't reproduce. I mean, look at what's happening right now. In a world where they're calling real women cis women. I'm not your cis, CIS. I'm not your cis. Yeah. I'm a woman. I just was born that way. And, you, on the other hand, are simulated. We've got simulated people walking around now. They're simulated male and female. I mean, that's not to say that they shouldn't do that. Or, I mean, if that's really your thing to do, but they are simulated. They're not born that way. They're not naturally that way. So it's like, I'm sorry, but it's simulation. We've got so many simulations, we don't even know. It's like everything's simulated now. You think this is not going to go on as a trend? It seems like everything's simulation now. We've got people decrying animal fur, so we've got simulated fur and simulated pearls, and so why not simulated people? Simulated genders. Next, simulated people, of course. Why not? Yeah, it all makes sense. Yeah, hence the Mandela effect. Makes me think Rudolf Steiner. Yeah. Weird, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, to think of when you think of how really convoluted it's getting now, there are people who basically, and I'm sorry, but, and there are going to be people maybe who thinking this is to be hateful, and it's not. It's just a summation of what I see is that the woke started out as somebody awakened, somebody who is realizing things are going on that that most people didn't see or whatever. It started off, once again, much like feminism, it started off maybe with a good idea, but what's happened to it quickly, along the way, what happened? Now, for many people, it just seems to be an excuse to be better over everything. And I think probably a lot of movements start that way. They start out okay, not bad, but then, people overdo it. Like, I don't want anybody to be in any kind of existential pain over not being able to live their life the way they want to live it. If they want to live as a male or a female or a tree or whatever, I don't want to remove your cloud out from under you, but there is a certain amount of reality we must maintain, or semblance of reality we must maintain to keep our society cohesive at all. And I don't think we're maintaining that right now very well. And I'm there thinking, you know what I just recently said it, and I think what they're going to try and do is make it look like, kind of sum up with some kind of idea that real women, women that were born women are not really women. the simulated women are women, and we're just, not really. They're gonna make it. I think they're gonna try to make it look like, no, we're the real women. You're not, because we chose it and you didn't choose it, so you're not really. Some weird thing like that. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for that to come up. That argument. Well, you didn't choose, and therefore it doesn't count. Some kind of weird thing like that. I don't know. And that could be like one way I think they could argue. So I mean, kudos to the people who really make it, and I mean, it's a real thing, not just a whim, a very real thing. But I think that, if you do that kind of thing too young, when I think of all of the stages I went through, things that I thought I wanted for my life, and as I learned more, I realized, no, that isn't going to work. That, I don't really want that at all. When I realized what the consequences of that were, I think if you're too young to know the full consequences of what you're about to do, you shouldn't be doing it. And probably pretty much with everything. I mean, sex the same way. Having sex too is like, if you don't really understand the consequences of having sex, probably shouldn't be doing that. Should be refraining somehow. Because there are consequences to that. Big consequences. In some cases, really big, life-altering consequences. So anything like that. Now, what we're doing to the environment right now and what we're doing to each other, I look at it and it's like, we have to become less toxic in our ideas. We want to really detox the universe. We've kind of got to detox ourselves. Okay. Well, I don't really want to pontificate on that. Oh dear. We're on over 3.5 hours now. And almost, yeah. Well, okay. I'm going to get ready to pull it down. I'm so glad, once again, I'll start pulling it down now. So glad that you came. Thanks so much for coming and sharing your thoughts. Don't forget to like the video if you like the video. And yeah, inversion, perversion. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Inversion. Yeah, the inverted matrix. We're working our way out of it. I'm working my way out of it. I'm hoping to take some of you with me if I can. Yeah, I know. It's okay. You can relook at it. But thank you for coming. And that's the nice thing about having a recording. You can just run it back and look at it. And I'm trying to look out for you guys too, because really, I kind of got that Ubuntu thing going. I'm not going to be that happy if you guys aren't that happy either. I want my friends to be happy with me so we can have fun together and enjoy each other's company. Because, I think the psychopathy is thinking of yourself alone. Thank you. Well, thank you. Okay, truth is where you find it. I hope you find some here. I keep trying to bring it to you. And I'll bring you some more when I can get to it. And tomorrow is going to be usual 10 o'clock, but 10:10 actually. We're going to have free tarot reading. and everybody gets a card, and that's the first 2 hours only. After 2 hours, we can go into discussion or ask for a general reading, not personal ones anymore. No personal readings after the first 2 hours. And let's see. Wednesday is not scheduled. I don't have anything quite scheduled for Wednesday yet. There's a couple of maybes, but I can't say yet. But so far it looks like we'll be on at 10, but I may change that. And if so, I'll put some kind of announcement. I'll try to bring up some kind of announcement for you so you can see that it's changing. Please leave me some kind of message as a comment on the video about the time change and what you think of the time change, anywhere between 8 and 10, roughly for a time. I suppose that on some days I could do a daytime show, but that's a little trickier. Maybe. We'll see. I might be able to do that, though. And maybe just not all the time. Maybe just not weekly, but we'll see. Because I want to do some stuff out in nature. I want to actually have some shows where we're sitting around out in nature, looking at some beautiful scene in front of us, and maybe seeing a Sasquatch hiding behind a tree or some ships hiding up in the clouds while I'm talking. That'd be fun, right? We've done that before. Right. Okay. Okay. Thank you. And tell people you love them. Tell them now. Don't delay. Ah, yes. Never forget you are divine. Never forget you are divine. You are divine. And you are creators. And you can change the world. By changing yourself, you do change the world. By freeing yourself, you help free the world. And I am going to stick around and help you do it. And I am tough. I don't die easy. I can maybe able to get sick, but very hard to kill. Okay. Love you. Good night. See you tomorrow.